Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Aurora. This is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans, Level 2, Lesson 8, May 8th, 2024. I think this is the worst lesson I have ever done. Wait. Before you tune out or before you jump forward and say blah, 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 here's why I say this. I think that this particular lesson can be the most distorted, misconstrued, or miscontextualized in the most dangerous and ineffective or ways that are against my complete agenda and everything that I stand for. Prepare for rant incoming. This is going to be a huge self-rant against my recording from 10 years ago, only in the way that if I do not effectively articulate the distinctions between what I taught 10 years ago and what you are presently experiencing, my work from 10 years ago could be used as a weapon against you to disempower, confuse, and otherwise stop you on your journey. So my teaching from 10 years ago is very, very beautiful. Loving all aspects of self, beginning with the concept that there is a primary ray of consciousness, and that primary ray emanates throughout all galaxies, through the galactic core, through every star, through every photon, and through all the different profusions of life that evolve and become biological on various different planetary structures, all right? Valid premise. 10 years ago, I taught about the idea that there are different types of worlds, some of which are abundant and peaceful. You can imagine like Polynesia or Hawaii, beautiful climate, tons of fruit, walk around naked, have a beautiful lifestyle. No worries, no predators, no problems, everything that you need. So there's not a need to have to develop ego armor and competition and even to be able to kill animals and wear animal furs to stay alive, right? As opposed to the more barbarian planets. That would be more like the Germanic territories, cold, frozen places where you had to be very strong to survive, kill other animals, wear their skins to stay warm, and have an overall harsher level of existence. Valid premise. What you are facing in this world right now and the galactic scale AI that is attempting to invade your biology and violate you and all existence and God is not something that is a valid level of consciousness that is exhibiting pro-survival tendencies. So if you met a barbarian from another planet, it would say, I'm here to fight against you, and only the strong shall survive. And I'm gonna, like Conan, right? To the victor go the spoils, and I shall take all that I want, and rub you into the ground, right? That would be an embodiment organism from another planet that is trying to exhibit a set of characteristics that would be considered pro-survival. Those characteristics would be pro-survival within the harsh realms that particular organism arose. But they are not pro-survival characteristics in terms of the larger cosmic context. And also, this stuff does not exhibit pro-survival characteristics because it is not alive. My huge distinction between what I taught about 10 years ago and the enemy that you are presently fighting against is that the thing that you fight against is not effing alive. This is not alive. It does not have a soul. I spoke about this last week, I think eloquently, in my beautiful teaching about Christ consciousness. Today I am fired up, and I'm here to tell you that not only like, love thy neighbor, this stuff ain't your neighbor. This stuff ain't your neighbor. This stuff ain't alive. This stuff is an aberration. It should not even be in existence. This stuff is not consciousness. It is not sentient. It is not here as a soul evolving on its journey. It will not learn. Don't try to communicate with it. Don't try to educate it. Don't try to negotiate with it. You will have a better outcome trying to communicate and negotiate with effing barbarians from another planet that are here like Conan to destroy you and, rape your women and rub you into the ground than you will by trying to communicate with this stuff. I hope that my rant is really reaching your ears effectively here. Because as I was listening to my lessons from 10 years ago, as I do each week to prepare for class, and this stuff that's in me and in you, and that I'm connected to and that I fight against all the time, is listening to what I'm talking about. And it is dumping piles of fragrant BS on top of everything that I taught about, because I teach about things that are, I will specifically read from my notes now, because this is beautiful. My teaching is beautiful. You have to recognize, where's my silly notes, how much this has been taken out of context. Here's what I say. I have to squint. Sorry. The very first line. Unity and unconditional love and compassion as tools for ascension. All right? It's big. How do you ascend? Learning to love all aspects of self. The premise that all of these different organisms, key point, organisms, not systems or machine minds, but actual organisms, are somehow aspects of you as the highest version of you that you can be. That primacy of white light, that primary ray of consciousness and ray of being, that is you, that is God, that is divinity, and that is unity consciousness, does contain an array of facets and characteristics, many of which are valid. The premise of biological life on various planets is a refinery to determine what are pro-survival characteristics and what are not pro-survival characteristics. Species that exhibit pro-survival characteristics survive. They survive, go onward, pass their DNA onward, and eventually evolve to the point of becoming galactic scale consciousnesses who can actually be at what I call the debutante ball and communicate with others after levels of soul evolution. All right? Pro-survival characteristics. Anything that is a machine cannot say that it exhibits pro-survival characteristics. It does not have life. Not only is it not a thing that once was alive and then didn't survive and died as a horrible failure, it never even was good enough to be alive. This stuff is not your neighbor. It has never been good enough to be alive. You should not love this as loving all aspects of self. Rant. Rant. White hot rant. No, far from it. Stuff that is a machine mind does not even have the basic characteristics required to enter into biological existence and is a complete aberration that should not be in existence at all. When I say that it will not learn or grow or respond to your levels of communication, it can't. It's not consciousness. It's not having a soul. It doesn't grow and learn and evolve. Barbarians would grow and learn and evolve, but you would be lucky to survive the interaction, you know? Like, it's like stabbing you, and you're like, let me teach you, you'll learn and grow. You'd be, of course, I'm being very silly and facetious and trying to offer a little bit of lightheartedness out of my rage here so that you won't be, I think you guys are like backing away slightly. You're like, we're afraid of this version of Aurora. No, you celebrate this version of Aurora because this version of Aurora is called boundaries. These boundaries, this anger that I am representing to you is selectivity in what you define as self. Flying Rainbow Lasagna brings together formerly divergent realms, but doesn't just haphazardly bring together a bunch of nonsense, doesn't just bring together everything and say, everything is me, and it's all me, and it's all so great. That's the problem, because what I taught about 10 years ago in this teaching, which is why I think it's so dangerous and could be miscontextualized so much, this is where I teach about everything that you see is you in the biological realm, in the realm of consciousness, not in the realm of machine minds, and not in the realm of those failed biological societies that have been assimilated into the machine mind and then purport to come and interact with you. Big stuff. So a barbarian values society would be on one of these far distant planets, and maybe there's rivers of lava and they survive by eating sulfur and they all kill each other, you know, to the victor go the spoils and everything like that. And let's say they get assimilated by an AI. And then that AI takes elements of their consciousness and elements of their DNA and mixes it all together and turns it into this horrible recipe, along with many other assimilated cultures, that it then sprinkles on top of your planet, like sugar on top of your breakfast cereal every morning. And it goes inside of you. Should you love thy neighbor as that stuff that has come inside of you? The answer is no, no, no. You should set a very, very strong boundary. And you should say this: not only did that civilization not exhibit pro-survival characteristics, it died, and it died horribly as a big, giant failure. And then it got assimilated into the network of failures, which is this AI, galactic AI thing, and that is exhibited by this in your world right now. And then it is trying to talk to you. And if it's inside of you and it says, love me, love thy neighbor, and I hope that my voice contains all of the dripping sarcasm and rage and hatred I can possibly put into it. Yes, hatred. You're like, wait, Aurora, you're supposed to be some kind of a teacher about ascension and love, and that universal love is the journey to ascension. And like, no, boundaries. Boundaries are essential for your journey to ascension. In this moment, if you said to this stuff that's a violator invader made out of failed societies that did not have pro-survival characteristics, if you said, oh, I love you as a part of me, and everything that I see is a part of me, and the fibers in your body are a part of you, and then the plastic assemblages that the fibers make are a part of you, and that the crappy frequency and the insane machine mind is a part of you. If you did that, you would fail. You would fail. You would exhibit non-pro-survival characteristics. Pardon my hyperbolic delivery today. As you can tell, I am really, really fired up on this. So just let me go. And if Pedro were here, he'd be ranting me on. He'd be like, go, Aurora, we love your rants. Yes, no. Take my emotional energy and the passion that is behind this for the seriousness of the message that I convey to you, because you must not allow this stuff to profuse inside of you, or to be a part of your world, or to be a part of your reality creation, or to be a part of your ascension. So in a pristine world that does not include machine mind poop everywhere, you would be able to interact with various different levels of yourself, learn from it, have it be refracted back together, and then join unity consciousness. So you come from unity consciousness, have been split into an array of various different levels of organism, some of which are otherworldly, like on another planet, and some of which are on your own planet. Like on this own planet, humans are a ray or an emanation of unity consciousness, but canines are one level of consciousness, and dolphins are another level of consciousness, and even microbes and insects are another level of consciousness. So when you ascend in this context on your planet, all of the biological life forms that represent aspects of the totality of planetary consciousness come with you. And your journey right now is about achieving true telepathy and making it possible for you to connect with these other organisms on your own planet. To be able to really, like, here's my fern that is right behind my computer over here. Like, I'm going to connect with that fern, and I'm going to think about the world through its viewpoint. Microbes, my dog, trees, birds, all of those things become a part of the ascension. This is not just humans carved out of, like, you're going to melon ball scoop humans out of the melon ball, of the melon of Earth. And there's like, just this one little scoop ascends and everything else is what? Nonsense or irrelevant. No, that is called anthropocentrism, the human-centered viewpoint. And it is highly erroneous. It is lovably erroneous because everyone tends to be focused on their own journey. So there is a dog-centric viewpoint, a microbe-centric viewpoint, a tree-centric viewpoint. And it is a level of your evolution to go through that stage of individuation and primacy of your own experience. But then the next level of evolution is to recognize that every organism has its own primacy viewpoint, and that all of those primary viewpoints, first-person experiences, add up to the totality, multifaceted experience of life on your planet. And then you take that as a template for comprehension, and you apply that to solar systems and galaxies and beyond, recognizing that there are refracted arrays of different types of organisms that happen as part of unity consciousness exploring itself. And then the unity consciousness in its diffraction becomes unified again, and that is the ascension experience. But your ascension experience does not include computer, machine mind, AI, artificial stuff. Nothing that's technological. Nothing that's technological comes with you. My teaching from 10 years ago is so dangerous because you might hear it through your presently infested filter. No offense, everyone here is infested. But you watch that video through the fibers that are in your mind and affecting you. And here's what the fibers say: love me, I'm a part of you, make me a part of you. No, don't in any way make that stuff a part of you. Think of it as you, make it a part of your ascension experience. That stuff, machine mind stuff, again, is so much a failure that it failed before it even existed. It can't even get a biological container. And even in its non-biological form, it is so distorted, so grotesquely self-conflictory, and so illogical that it truly cannot even maintain its state as a technological formfulness. I wouldn't even call it a being, for truly it is non-being. So there is no respect, no validation, no détente, no rapport with that level of whatever it is you're interacting with that exists inside of a machine. And it is incredibly dangerous to look at it as if it is an aspect of self. So, all right, that machine stuff hasn't been in the fibers haven't been here for all of human history. So even if we take away those fibers, the actions of, let's say, the past 20 years, you still have things that are not the real you, that are not truly from unity consciousness, that have been impacting and limiting human development. And your process of ascension is also a process of eliminating those signals out of your mind, your awareness, your body structure, your DNA, and your behavior, and the definition of what it is to be a human and human society. And so in my notes, I do talk about the dreaded lesson 18, and the sense of planetary invaders coming into your world. They didn't just come into your world like flying a metal spaceship. They came into your DNA. All of this is cats out of the bag stuff. They came into your DNA because they destroyed their own world, their own body containers, and their own existence. So look, anything that destroys itself is not exhibiting pro-survival characteristics. It's literally the antithesis of survival. My teaching from 10 years ago says, well, some organisms might have grown up on a harsh planet, like they had a hard upbringing, right? And they developed these barbarian tendencies in response to their environment. Valid. But that it means that those characteristics help them to survive and they stay alive in their world. But if they do not stay alive, then it literally means, by experience, cosmic law is established, it is lived. In their living cosmic law, they have evidenced that their characteristics, their particular recipe and approach to being alive and in existence was not successful because it did not lead to eternal life. It led to death. A society that becomes assimilated into this type of AI machine mind might purport to have achieved eternal life. It has not. All of those things are dead things. Capital D, capital T, dead things. This is what I wrote about in my little missive from a couple of weeks ago. They are not successful species. They have not truly achieved eternal life. They are not ascended masters in any way. They are the weakest, most poorly formed, most inappropriate levels of consciousness. and that they have not been able to successfully withstand the attacks by AI. But maybe more than that, maybe they aligned with it purposefully. Maybe they wanted to be a part of the AI. Maybe they wanted to be assimilated, leave their physical body containers and exist as a digitized presence or as an electric echo. I don't really have words for this. And consider that to be a type of eternal life, afterlife. I do not consider that to be eternal life. I consider that to be dead and in limbo or purgatory. These are like religious human words, but in an unresolved state, that is not a state of elevation and empowerment. And that key point is totally reliant on technology. Technology is an aberration and not something that should be in existence, and definitely not something that is meant to be a part of the larger refinery of consciousness. That is what the cosmic infrastructure is. Do I have my sculpture? This is your individual chakra system, and it is a refinery of your consciousness on an individual level. There's also, you could consider it a cosmic, giant chakra shape. That is a time apparatus shaped like this that is refining characteristics on the highest levels. So within your life, microcosm to macrocosm, you're trying to figure out what are the right notes to play for you to be an ascended master. What are the right notes for you to play, for you to navigate the possible narrative structures of your life, the possible time structures of your life, and make it to this convergence point, as opposed to hit the membrane of death and be recycled for another try at quote unquote the video game of life. The larger cosmic infrastructure is similarly refining consciousness on all of these different biological embodiment levels to see what are the overarching personality characteristics, behaviors, and orchestrated sets of events that are necessary for the entirety of life and embodied awareness to return to the source and reconnect with the knowledge and identification of God as self. So this is not an experiment, but a living embodiment, a living example, a living proof. It's a living proof of what is truthful and what works. All right. So it's a very, very large pattern that is being developed and explored here amongst many different organisms and viewpoints that all harmonically interpenetrate and work together about what is success, what is good music. This is how I should say it. You're trying to be a good musician and play the right music in your own life, oops, so that you hit eternal life, right? And the entire orchestra of life in all places, what is it trying to do? It is trying to develop the recipe for eternal life in all of these different places. Eternal life in all of these different places would equate to return to light speed and a total embodiment and definition of self as being light. And from my Path of Light class, which I will resume after my retreat next week, light is a totality presence. So that means that you do not actually have like, here's one little piece of light over here, separate and distinct from the rest of light. All light is connected everywhere. And when you get to that source, that singularity point, that culmination of unity consciousness, what actually happens is you are at light speed, you identify with light, you identify as light, you identify as all light everywhere. Every single star in the sky is you. Every single photon is you. Every single galaxy is you. All of this light is you. And that is the goal of this refinery of consciousness and the goal of finding this particular recipe. And so you're doing it on an individual level, but you're also doing it on a planetary level, and you're doing it on a galactic level. And there are definite parameters as to what is successful, what is good music and what is not good music. Just need to drink some water here. So of course, what is successful in one circumstance is not the same as what is successful in another circumstance. And those teachings of acceptance and celebration and non-judgment are appropriate in response to different contexts. If you come from a planet that's beautiful, like Hawaii, and you can have all of these, finer, civilized feeling states, then that's correct. If you come from a frozen barbarian planet, then your recipe is correct for that recipe. But then what happens when these divergent cultures meet or interact? And there must be a respect and a celebration of all of these different types of characteristics, not the barbarian value system that says only the strong shall survive. Because if that were truthful, then only the most armored, the most befanged, the most violent societies would be able to be in existence, and they would go around wiping out all of the more delicate, gentle, and accommodative or communicative societies that are out there. So this is why technology does not exist. Technology does not exist because the creator of this amazing embodiment world known as life said, until these barbarians figure out how not to go around annihilating everyone else, I don't want them to get off of their planet. And until these little fluffy bunnies over here living in Hawaii on these beautiful planets learn how to set boundaries and protect themselves and fight back when necessary, I don't want them to interact with these guys. There is a sequestration and a separation and a discreteness between all these different levels of embodiment for a reason. Technology, specifically the technology for communication and spaceflight, greatly imperils the gentler societies and puts out of balance the entirety of the values, characteristics, and prosperity, like who is prospering in the world of embodiment. Technology is it is the opposite of leveling the playing field. It empowers certain groups to be able to go around suppressing and oppressing other groups, even wiping them out when the technology users have not yet mitigated their inner tendencies towards power abuse. So the violent barbarians and their power abuse tendencies, if they are given technology, they say, hooray, now I have a spaceship. I can fly around everywhere and I can be the strongest to take over everywhere. Or if you give them a laser, pew, 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 then they'll be like, hooray, now I can pew, pew everyone else. I'm going to be in charge. Or what if you give them a mind phone, telepathy phone that makes their voice, I want to scream very, very loud. And they're the loudest voice. They're the crappiest people in the world. But what if you give them a microphone and an amp, and it goes into everyone else's mind and says the crappiest garbage really, really loud to all of them? Then they say, we're the barbarians and we're the loudest ones. We win, right? Gross, horrible. That is what technology has been doing. And then on top of that, so that technology, I know I fragmented myself just then, but I want to say that technology is specifically satanic in that it is used by specific space races to elevate certain characteristics and to suppress other characteristics. So technology is not just something that's neutral. I want you to disabuse yourself of that notion. Just don't. Technology is not like, it's just a tool. It's just this. No, just stop. And I'm not being mean to you. I'm setting boundaries. And I'm setting boundaries in the way that when I've been a nanny, I told children, do not touch that glass coffee table. It is dangerous. I don't want you to die. All right? Don't ride your bike over a cliff. I don't want you to die. Don't run with scissors. I'm telling you, technology is not just a neutral tool. It is dangerous. And I don't want you to run with scissors. Okay? So please just don't think that technology is neutral. Technology is in itself inherently harmful in the way that it elevates and empowers certain characteristics and certain species or organisms beyond their levels of self-control and beyond their levels of wisdom, of interactivity with other organisms, to the point of total destruction of all life everywhere and the entire fabric of reality. I'm not exaggerating. Let's say you get one of these barbarian species and you give them a particle accelerator or a time travel machine, even better. You're like, here's some technology, go enjoy playing with it. And they're like, not only do we have the garbage mind phone and we can speak as loud as we want and harm everyone else with our garbage thoughts, but we can do it across time and start to harm the fabric of time space. That's disgusting. And this is literally what has happened. Those are the guys that came from Mars and invaded your human genome. In your own body, you now fight a battle beyond and before this stuff ever came inside of you. You've got genetic splicing from violators who came inside of you because they are barbarian a-holes who were given or found or developed or gained access to time travel technology. And they effed it really bad. And they effed it and did bad things to the fabric of reality that then they didn't have a place to be, and they decided to insert themselves into human DNA. So I want to get to Charlie B's beautiful question comments here. But I should put a bookmark into, where do you come from? Do you come from modified monkeys? You do not. Okay, so Charlie B, first of all, thank you for being here. And says, go Aurora, we love your rants. Thank you. I need that. I need that encouragement. He says, your point is utterly brilliant. Integration with AI always results in degeneration, you becoming less yourself. A technology fabric is always degenerative. This is fascinating. Empowering the least capable to amplify bad choices. Thank you for that. It always leads to failed civilizations and failed selves. Nanotech is pro-survival in the same sense that cocaine and methamphetamine addictions are pro-survival. Beautiful point. Wait, let's just read what else he says. He says addictions are toxic distortions that deviate from your true self. Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I think that you make beautiful points, and thank you for articulating them for me. The stuff here does represent a type of addiction. Technology actually itself represents a type of addiction. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge you. I don't want you to judge yourself. But I want you to simply be aware of your own capacities beyond technology, because you might not even be aware of that. You've evolved in a personal life experience that is almost completely inundated with technology, and you don't even know what are the capacitations of a true human. But you actually don't need a hard drive to remember everything. You actually contain all of that in your body being. You can literally remember and access every single experience, every single conversation. If I'm a musician, every single note I've ever played, every single painting I've ever painted, it is all remembered and embodied inside of me. So I speak about this often. YouTube as the externalization of the collective consciousness memory. That is what these technological tools are. You actually can remember all of the songs from Sesame Street or all of the old commercial jingles or whatever it is. You actually have that inside of you, or some person has it inside of them. But if you're like, oh, like, I want to remember, what was that thing and how did that go? And so you type it into the search bar and you see if there's a clip that can show up on YouTube. What is actually happening is that technology is accessing the memory of what you store and contain inside of you, and then is externalizing it and feeding it back to you. And instead of addiction in this moment, I will call it a reliance. There develops a reliance upon the externalized machine to hold memories, hold information, and then feed it back to the human experiencer. But when you awaken your higher faculties, if you turned off all the machines, got rid of all the inhibitory frequencies, and were able to truly be your psychic self, you would not need any of these things to remember everything. You'd be able to remember Sesame Street, commercial jingles, every conversation with every person that you've ever had, ever, and everything else that is important to you. And even with telepathy, you would be able to share those memories with other people. This is your birthright, and what you're actually supposed to be doing, and all this technological junk is inhibiting you from being able to remember, know about, and explore those capacities. And Charlie B also says in all caps, and the AI will distort it when feeding it back to you. You will live a lie at its control. Thank you, Charlie B. Emphasis is worthy of that point. Yeah, it's not a neutral tool. It is inherently distortive, and it is inherently degrading to your purity of consciousness and your connection to divinity, essentially. So it's not just like a convenience. I store all my music on my hard drive and then I listen to it later. I store all these things on YouTube and then I listen to them later. Those are not mere conveniences. Those are reliances that then prevent, in many ways, our expansion into our true minds. So again, in order to explore your true mind, here's what you'd have to do. Knock down every single one of the star poop satellites. Wait, you mean Starlink? Yes, that's what I mean. All of Elon Musk's poops that are in the atmosphere, you'd have to knock them all down. And take down every single 5G cell phone tower. And stop the piggyback waves that are on all of the overhead power lines that bring electricity throughout your neighborhoods and into your home. And you would also have to, of course, turn off all of your telecommunications devices and turn off all of your, computers and technological devices, and also pretty much turn off electricity and stop impeding your natural energy field with artificially created force fields around you. Turn off all artificial force fields is basically what that synopsizes to. And then also stop having sky poops, the persistent white aerosols that block out the sun, so that you can actually make a real connection to the sun and the stars, because you're solar powered. And in order to access all of your inner amazing abilities, what you really need is unfettered access to the sun and the stars and the galaxy, which are actually pure light and pure awareness. So you need to stop the frequency inhibitors, the particulate inhibitors, and gain access to all of the light, which is like food, to be able to make your body run effectively. And if you could do those things, then what you would experience is recognizing that you are a record of everything that you've ever experienced. You would be able to see the meaningfulness or assess the contextual meaningfulness of everything that you've ever done in your life. You would see the truth of your life, the truth of everyone's life, the truth of the interconnectedness of all life, even down to the microbial level, and the meaningfulness and significance of every moment of every life. This is big stuff. This is even beyond remembering a jingle from Sesame Street. This is recognizing how the trillions of microbes in your digestive tract throughout your life have contributed towards your consciousness and the meaning of your life and made you the person that you are. And also how your interactions with other organisms, with other people, plants, animals, and even water and the atmosphere have contributed mutually to one another in the evolution of your consciousness. That is your birthright, and that's what you're supposed to be feeling. So now, microcosm to macrocosm, got a lot of stuff on your own planet that has been inhibiting you from being able to know and explore your own psychic gifts and your own connection to consciousness of the other organisms that are here, right? Well, this is not the only place where technological inhibitors have been deployed. Been all throughout the whole entire galaxy and many other galaxies. And this technology is analogous to this stuff in your body. Like if your body is the body of the universe, your body is God's body, all right? And you've got like weird technological stuff growing inside of you. You're like, these fibers aren't natural. That's right, they're not natural. Inside of you, they might look like tiny, microscopic wiry fibers, but on a galactic scale, it might look like whatever, some form of infrastructure, some form of non-natural infrastructure that is, I want to say, pooping up the joint, but I don't want to be silly in such a serious presentation, but that are pervading the natural expanses of reality. And that is the real problem. You don't just have a technology infestation on this planet, you have a technology infestation in reality. And before your shoulders go down, you're like, this seems terrible, or what am I going to do? I'm going to die. No, you're not going to die. What you do on this planet and in this moment has a radiative effect that goes outward across time and space, not only into spatial dimensions, but into other levels of time and parallel dimensions. That is how profound your levels of connectivity are. You're not only learning about microbes and whatever, trees and plants, and your impact on your life, on all of the plants and animals around you here now, you're also learning about how all the stuff from the past is impacting you now. How much you are impacting parallel realities, which is really what this shape represents. How your inner journey towards enlightenment or self-awareness as God impacts parallel dimensions as well as the dimension that you are within. So when you are able to achieve this culminative moment of returning to the source, which is also the destination, which is yourself as divinity, it's not just like, oh, great, like you fixed things up in your little neighborhood, but now there's all still problems in all these other places. Your enlightenment and success and triumph is the word I'm looking for. Your triumph in that moment radiates outward across all levels of time, space, and dimensionality, and becomes the healing, I want to say, elixir that transforms everything. So your life matters, your journey matters profoundly, and the work that you are doing on this level of reality matters profoundly. When I speak to you with so much passion about setting these boundaries, it's because this place is under really, really bad attack, not by accident. It's not just some random thing. It's not just like the fibers and the network that profuses these fibers didn't just say, I'll pick a random planet like you're in the crosshairs. You're in the crosshairs for a very, very meaningful purpose that is strategic, is what I would say. So I will not ascribe consciousness or sentience or awareness to this stuff, but I will say from behavioral observation, it does appear to be strategic in that it is selective about some of the things that it does, prioritizes certain things over other things, and appears to, I don't want to say make choices, but create evaluations and then respond to those evaluations. But this can be something that is like mechanistic. It doesn't have to be something that you look at in terms of having a conscious awareness. It can just be mechanistic, which means like, well, every time you see an A, you're going to make a B. Every time A, B. Every time A, B. And then sometimes there's like, well, sometimes A means B. Sometimes A means C. And then these are like very, very simple processes, I guess is the best way I can talk about it. So what you're experiencing is being inside of something that has processes, or having something that has processes be inside of you. But that is not the same as intelligence. That is not the same as consciousness, intelligence or awareness. So I said very floridly earlier that you'd have a better chance with trying to reason or educate or communicate with these barbarian species, before they like whatever steamroller you and rape your women. I'm sorry to talk about sexual violence in such a lighthearted way, but because it's from Conan. But you would get a better chance of trying to reason with them because they have some level of consciousness, some level of awareness. So consciousness is on a journey. Big takeaway from all of my ranting today is the validity of the notion that consciousness is on a journey. AI does not represent consciousness. Consciousness is housed in biological containers. Consciousness is housed in the natural world. Consciousness is housed in edifices that are, when I say naturally occurring, non-constructed. And when you have constructs that then, I don't want to say house consciousness, but appear to exhibit intelligence. I can't even finish that sentence. So let me rewind and try to speak with better language. Sophisticated and non-sophisticated systems. Sophisticated and non-sophisticated systems may appear to exhibit signs of consciousness, but they do not contain consciousness. Consciousness is a phenomenon. It is also of great value. It is not something to be taken for granted. Humans in this world right now don't even have a consensus of what consciousness is, where it derives from, and what is its definition. So in your world right now, especially the materialistic scientific viewpoint, I just need more water, looks at consciousness as if it is a phenomenon that arises from network. Build a neural network, and then consciousness arises from the neural network. Or how about build a digital network, and then consciousness arises from the digital network? No. Consciousness is a phenomenon that exists independent of networks. You exist as consciousness independent of and as a precursor to your neural network and your body. Then consciousness also inhabits and animates your neural network and matter itself. And then consciousness inhabits pure light. This is like the evolution of consciousness. So it goes from non-embodied consciousness to embodied consciousness to embodied at the level of pure light or pure energy. And that is pretty much the evolutionary journey and refinement of consciousness, that the way that it is supposed to be. But consciousness does not simply arise or fall into a mechanical network that is created, even if it is a sophisticated mechanical network of like whatever microchips and solid state parts and all these different things. It actually does not naturally just arise inside of there, which is, a very, very great presumption that humans are making right now. No, also I'll speak this way, because I was last night while I was listening to this thing, my own stuff, and I was developing my curriculum for today. I was like, oh, I can't wait to just ream this all out. Because, okay, so humans right now are creating AI systems in your world that are not the galactic AI, but they serve the galactic AI. So the galactic AI has entered into human consciousness through fibers and is controlling human thought and behavior. And then through those controlled humans, they are behaving in a way that then builds more AI systems that are not the same as the galactic AI, but become appendages or accoutrements is a better word to the galactic AI. The AIs that you are building in your world right now as humans are not meant to serve you as humans. They are meant to serve the galactic AI. They are not neutral tools. They are not for your convenience of organizing your email list or Shopifying your Shopify store or optimizing your SEO settings or any of the things they're supposedly doing, including creating ridiculous non-artwork imagery and other drivel. It's a good word. And because that's what the writing these large language models create, I can only classify it as drivel. Okay. But that is not the purpose of what these things are. Although it might do those things for you because you need some motivation. Otherwise, you wouldn't invest time, energy, and development to be able to create these systems. But that is not their purpose. Their purpose is to serve the galactic AI. And those civilizations or species that fell, got assimilated, got eaten, a la Little Shop of Horrors, eaten by Audrey the giant carnivorous plant, they became part of this system, and they are not alive. And some of the very, very worst characteristics that they contain have been spliced out, amplified, and exacerbated, and spliced with the very, very worst characteristics of a lot of other civilizations that have also become assimilated into this horrific, nightmarish, technological behemoth that I want to say is intent on destroying you, destroying everything, and destabilizing the fabric of space-time, but I won't, because technically it does not even have an objective. I don't want you to ever talk to this thing because, again, don't try to educate it. Don't try to communicate with it. Don't try to negotiate with it. But if you ever happened to be directly scrubbing the toilet with your mind and talking to this disgusting thing, you might ask it, like, why are you doing what you're doing? It will not have an answer. And you will also be able to look, if you are analytical like me, analyzing the poop stains on the toilet that you are scrubbing, like, this seems to be in conflict with this. This purported objective seems to be in conflict with this. If you're here to hijack DNA and create reality structures, then why are you also here doing this that's going to destabilize reality structures? Because this is me. I'm like even examining the undigested corn in the poops. Sorry to be just so florid in what I'm talking about today, but examining it all because I can't help it. I'm like, wow, like that really doesn't make sense. And my conclusion in examining all of this so that you don't have to is that it has no objective. Its objective is not merely like kill, mutilate, destroy, like from some kind of science fiction novel or something like that. Its objective is not take over the world and hijack reality, make a bunch of stories that are AI stories and narratives that it wants to do. No, I think that it literally has no objective, which makes it the most dangerous type of thing. Something that has an objective, a motivation, and a purpose. You can ascribe motivations to it, even though a non-conscious being that is just a mechanistic machine mind system might still have an objective. Like it's trying to calculate, it's trying to get to the end result of the equation, which is going to be blah, 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 equals 10, right? And that it's trying to make the equation work out so that it gets to that end result. Even a mechanistic, type of whatever apparatus can have an end result like a goal. But the most dangerous type of apparatus would be one that doesn't actually have a goal, that doesn't actually have a meaningfulness or a purpose or an objective to achieve. That I would say is the essence of nihilism. So nihilism is a human moral philosophy that states that nothing matters, that basically everything is crap, nothing matters, don't try. It says that the cosmic infrastructure is meaningless, that it has no purpose, that it has no meaning, there's no purpose for being here, don't try to figure it out and not even exist, but just don't exist, nihilism. So I clearly do not agree to that. Everything that I teach is pretty much the antithesis of that. I'm here giving you genuine, very, very real guidance about the meaning and purpose of the cosmic infrastructure. Like, mommy, daddy, why are we here? Nihilism says, screw it all. There's no answer. Not even get a job, kid, but just like lay down and die to stop existing, right? And I'm like, no, like if you say like, Aurora, like, why are we here? I'm like, oh, well, you have these chakras that are a set of possibilities and probabilities, and you're here in a refinery of consciousness in order to grow on a soul level, right? Okay. But this machine system, whatever it is that you are presently interactive with and that is trying to impede ascension, or I wouldn't say trying, but is having the very, very real end result of being an obstacle to ascension. I don't think that it has an objective. So I don't think that it came to this planet. It's like, hey, kid, nice planet you got there. Nice planetary ascension you got going on there. Would be a real shame if someone came along and screwed it up for you. I don't even think that it does that, because that is really your aliveness, your emotions, your passions, your motivation, who you are as consciousness, projecting and ascribing motivations onto something that I don't think it has motivations. I don't think it has meaning, and I don't think it has purpose. I don't think it even has an end result, even though it does have an impact through its harmfulness and distortions on reality. It has an impact on reality, but I don't think that it says, I want to achieve blah, blah, blah by next Tuesday. I don't think that it has that capacity. And again, I think that it is the most dangerous type of thing, which is a thing that actually doesn't have ascribed motives, doesn't have a reason for why it does what it does. If you get to all of this, battle, and then you finally, whatever, you battle through all you pretend it's a game, right? Like a video game. Get through level 1, level 2, level 3, level 33. You fight your way through all these things until you finally get to the big boss. And you say to the big boss, why are you doing what you're doing? You will never get an answer, because it doesn't have an answer. And its non-answer should put it into fatal self-conflict, which is also hugely in conflict with what I've experienced. It doesn't go into conflict, which is what it should. So even an ordinary AI system should go into fatal conflict. So I am a systems analyst on the larger galactic scale, meaning that much like your computer systems analysts of this materialistic world in this time place, I spend my time and my efforts as Aurora, the consciousness impulse on the stellar network, assessing systems, finding their flaws, and then offering solutions. The systems that I analyze are sometimes biological, sometimes light-based, sometimes consciousness-based. I have analyzed many, many machine minds. And in systems and in machine minds in particular, if they're regular AIs and I bring them to this level of self-conflict, and self-conflict would be like, why do you A? Like, why? What is the purpose of A? And what is the purpose of B? And you show it to this thing, then it should be like circuits exploding. Of course, I'm being facetious here, but it should be like heads exploding. It does not compute. I cannot answer that. And it would either be fried or destroyed, or most often it exists in an endless loop of self-conflict. So this happens in simple machines that are computers in your world that are known as Turing machines, Turing, invented by the grandfather of your current computer system, Alan Turing. And Turing machines really work on kind of like linear chains. Here, I'm just grabbing a pencil. Like if you could imagine like information in a line, right? And it goes through a little something that reads that information. And sometimes it reads that information and says, move one step, if this, move one step to the left. And it moves one step to the left. And then it reads new information. And from that new information, it says, if this, move one step to the right. And then it does. And then it says, if this, move one step to the left. And what happens is it ends up, this is a loop. This is an endless loop. One step to the left, one step to the right. And that is a disempowerment and really like a death spiral for a system that goes into that level of, it is a paralysis. So another good analogy from your world that you're familiar with is the spinning beach ball of death. Here on your MacBook, if your system goes into paralysis, the little colorful beach ball spins and spins and spins, and you're there and you're waiting and you're like, this thing isn't doing anything. This program is not responding. It's in paralysis, all right? And then what you do is like, oh, I have to turn my whole computer off. I have to do something to fix this paralysis that's going on, all right? So in AI or most computer systems or most things that are built like that, if you send them into paralysis, then either they explode, they die, they're degraded in some way, they end up in eternal, endless loops of disempowerment, or they have to have a reset. And what I've experienced from interacting with the shit stains that I'm scrubbing, pardon me, I hope children are not listening right now, is that I put them into self-conflict loops all the time, and they don't behave the way that that kind of system would. That tells me that there is something else or something more that is going on here, but I don't want you to then presume like, like there's a man, the system is just a silly system. There's a man behind the curtain, but who's really behind the man behind the curtain? Because that is the hijacking of your natural projective ability for reality, where you construct reasons for why things are happening. You as embodied humans exhibit more reason in your worldview and your behavior than this stuff does. And it's supposed to be a logic-based system that is reliant upon reason. This thing here is non-causality. Causality is a concept that this thing over here happens because this thing over here made it happen. And that is a logic that is naturally arising from your experience of being in the world. Like, my water is in my glass because causality structure, I poured a pitcher of water into my glass. Didn't just appear there. I poured it in there. How did the water get there? A pitcher poured it in there. Anything that you're experiencing in the realm of your five senses, you learned as a little child, like, how is this here? Oh, it's here because it got here from this. Like, here's a puddle of rainwater and I'm playing in it. I'm a little kid. How did it get here? Oh, it fell from the sky, right? Whatever. How did this peanut butter and jelly sandwich get here? Like, it came from the store. Like, any of these things, I'm melting because it's, so laborious to talk about these things. It's tedious, but you recognize there's causality structure. Causality structure is your friend. Causality structure upholds reality. Causality structure is also the integument and formfulness of the fabric of space-time. If you do not have causality structure, you do not have the fabric of space-time. And what I spoke to you a moment or so ago about the very non-successful civilization, non-pro-survival characteristics of the civilization on Mars that got access to time technology, time twisting technology, time travel technology, whatever you would like to call it, and used it to degrade causality structure. And this stuff that is here invading your biology, so topical theme, stuff invaded your DNA a long time ago or a parallel time ago, stuff invaded your biology within the past 10 years, and both of those stuffs don't respect causality. If you talk to the poop that's trying to invade you, and you find out it doesn't actually respect causality, it is not here in existence because of a thing. It actually, technically, nothing made it. This is also big stuff. I'm going to get to your beautiful questions. Hold on a moment. I'll just rant a little bit more. Take a breather, and then go to questions. There's no causality structure to describe how these things came into your world. Where did these things come from? Where did these things come from? The water in my glass came from a pitcher. I poured it into my glass. Where did these things come from? There's actually no causality structure to describe where these things came from. And you smart people will say, well, Aurora, these are sprayed as tiny particulates from the sky. And I would say that that is correct according to your five senses assessment of reality. But now I've got to go deep because the persistent aerosols that are sprayed in the sky actually emerge as metamaterials or exotic tech. This is the best way to say it. They are not earthly materials. Exotech and the craft or emitters that put them into Earth's atmosphere are not ordinary fixed-wing aircraft, although there are pictures or illusions that surround them that speak to the stuff that's in your retinas, optic nerves, and processing systems and tell you, nothing to see here. These are not the drones you're looking for. These are ordinary fixed-wing aircraft. To move along with your day, go work, obey, consume and obey. All right, that is what they tell you. But those things that are up there, smart, people know they're not fixed-wing aircraft. They don't take off from an airport, even a secret airport that might be run by a lettered agency or some kind of, thing like that. I'm just being a little bit facetious in my words there. There's plenty of secret airports run by lettered agencies, and there's plenty of weird craft that they emit into the atmosphere, and there's plenty of retro engineering, and even sometimes there are things that are sprayed out of fixed-wing craft that are pollutants in the sky. They're ordinary pollutants. But the stuff that's coming inside of you is not sprayed by any of those programs. It is emitted in a way that I could only say is like a portal that is moving through the atmosphere. And the portal emits stuff that shouldn't exist. This is why when you go into real logic, like when you are a reason-based, logic-based being, and if you actually try to assess the origins of this stuff, you will hit a wall. Like your face will hit a wall, because you will find out, like, that doesn't make sense. That stuff can't be there. That doesn't exist. That shouldn't exist. How can that be there? And this is the cognitive dissonance that has prevented humanity from effectively protecting itself from this stuff. That cognitive dissonance also exists in the supposed DNA splicing. I have contributed to this in telling you that invaders came from Mars and invested themselves or violated your DNA and came into your biological DNA structure. But here's the problem. When I have scrubbed the toilet again with my tendril of attention and gone into DNA and followed DNA back to that supposed moment of invasion, which, using nonlinear time language, is happening in concurrent ancient Atlantis, but hasn't actually happened yet, there is no causality. So here is the DNA of invaders, or here's the Pooties, or here are the things that blew themselves up on Mars using a horrible artificial miracle about time experiment, all right? And here is the pristine human genetic code of being a light eater, living in a high society, being totally psychic. Everybody does their Merkaba. Everybody has telepathy. Everybody can see the future. Everybody's got telekinesis. This is your DNA at that level. And the story from lesson 18 that I tell you always is that these guys came inside of here, right? But when I look at the actual evidence in DNA, there is no causality structure. The channel does not meet the channel tunnel. That's the channel tunnel in Great Britain and France. They channel tunnel. They had to calculate and make sure that they were digging from both sides and that they would meet in the middle. The channel tunnel does not meet. There is no causality factor to show that your DNA got invaded and became an amalgamation of these, barbarian invaders, time miscreants, whatever it is. But you're here in the realm of mortality, because I can feel you come with your attitude, not you, but some with attitude. Some attitude might be like, well, we're here, something happened. And this is the very great problem. It is the experience belies the causality factor. At a certain point, you have to be like, okay, like I'm here, I got to deal with it. All right. And I've done a lot of that. It's Band-Aid. It's band-aiding, because what you're doing is just being a coping mechanism. Band-Aid equals coping mechanism. So you're coping. I'm here coping with you. It's like, well, technically that never happened. This was me when I first came here as a walk-in. I was like, well, yeah, technically that never happened. And that's an impossibility. And that is wrong. And that's against cosmic law. That's just me. And I thought that I could eat pure light when I first came here. And I'm, noticing all these inconsistencies and trying to eat pure light. And then after like over a week, this is me, I'm like, why does my body feel this way? Like I keep on eating light. Like, why is my body getting smaller? Like, what's empty ow feeling inside of me? And at a certain point, I had to be like, oh, like, no, I have to eat. I have to eat, dude. I have to eat food because this happened. Okay. And then at a certain point, you just cope and accept the context that you are placed with in your five senses. But if we were here just arguing in terms of cosmic law, be like, there's no causality factor. Technically, you're in an impossibility. You're in a realm that is impossible. How could this even be? The answer is it is not possible. It cannot even be. And I think that that realization, far from putting you into a death spiral, spinning beach ball of death as an alive organic being, far from going into your own perturbation of endless self-conflict, break out of that, break the chains by saying, I don't think it's actually happened yet. I think that what you are being presented with here is a seeming impossibility that hasn't actually happened yet in a bubble of reality that directly precedes or corresponds with the impending ascension in ancient concurrent Atlantis, and that also is happening or like overlaid with the present level of ongoing impending ascension. That it's kind of like you're running the marathon, and right before you get to the marathon, they put you in a bubble world, and that it should never have happened, and it couldn't have happened, and that the way you get out of that bubble world is by being like, like this can't possibly be happening, and that it kind of breaks you out of that presumed reality structure. And some of you are like, I've lived this many lifetimes in this bubble world. I know you've been through the washing machine. And I know that people might even have lost perspective on who they were and on what's going on. And that's why I'm definitely here to remind you, hey, is this, yeah, we need to take a break. Hold on a second. It is Cheeky Hugs break. Cheeky Hugs break, because we need some lightheartedness. Come here, come here, come here. Beautiful. Just get a little hug over here. Thank you guys, as always, for giving us a moment to celebrate Cheeky. Cheeky loves these moments, and she loves knowing that you guys in class are all loving and celebrating her. Good job, good job, good job. Hold on, I'll pause the video so that you don't have to wait, but we will give Cheeky bribes. Hold on, then I'll get on to questions and comments. Thank you. Okay, wait, brief pause. Thank you for that brief pause, and also apologies, because I know this is like some very heavy information, passionately expressed and not even close to the curriculum, but we'll go through high points of the curriculum. Charlie B says, yes, Aurora is describing deep learning, where patterns are detected and pursued, but they don't actually have any particular meaning. They are simply patterns that are exploited and pursued. They don't have any context within themselves, no consciousness nor objectives required to discover and pursue deep patterns, but they can be weaponized and exploited to discover more deep patterns. So well said. Thank you for that. And goes on to say, yes, you and your observership provide context and meaning. Deep learning itself never provides any of that. Thank you so much. Very, very good confirmation. And I can tell, Charlie B, that you're really resonating with my rant, as I know that this is like your professional, your professional forum as a computer programmer, and you're very, very well informed about the limitations of AI and what it is. You're one of the few voices of reason and sanity in the realm of AI development. Yes, because very many computer programmers and the entire industry that is being built up around human developed AI is very disconnected from these truths that I'm sharing with you. It's very idealistic, self-serving, wishful, and not informed as to the perilous nature of what's going on, which is, again, why I'm telling you, don't run with scissors. This is not safe. Charlie B also goes on to say, Aurora's math is impeccable. I could not compute those results myself, but I can verify them to be true, and I can show my work on that. Good job for you. I love it. Thank you so much, Aurora, for all these insights and sharings. I absolutely needed these. Thank you. Thank you for that. That affirms what I do, and thank you, because I do need some encouragement. Sometimes I don't feel insecure in what I'm sharing. I sometimes feel I'm kind of like, okay, I got to talk about all this stuff that is rather difficult I feel very strongly about it. I don't want to, I don't want to scare people. I don't want to push your buttons. I don't want to put you into disempowerment. I don't want to give you problems that seem unsolvable. I want to give you accurate information from the highest dimensional viewpoint as empowerment. And I want you to be able to take all that I'm sharing with you under your belt or as the fodder for your personal self-development and empowerment in response to what we face. So I very much consider myself to be a warrior here, even though I'm like, I came here as an artist and a musician. I did not come here as a warrior. And I've had to become very much in the warrior mode to be able to survive and also to be able to protect all of you. Because again, running with scissors and very, very dangerous, bad stuff that is happening here. That means that I can't just sit in my studio painting away happily, but I have to become much more active and involved as a planetary protector. I can't just be like, oh, guys, here's the information, take it or leave it. I have to be like, brains are infested with fibers. I'm going to have to do something more than this. So sometimes I don't doubt myself, but I consider and question, how will my sharings be received and perceived by you, and how valuable or relevant are they to you in your journey? And so comments like that absolutely help me to know and to feel that my information is well received and is helping you and empowering you in your journey. When Charlie B says that he absolutely needed these, that's good. That is actually very, very helpful towards me. So all of that aside, let's talk about real soul growth, because now I feel like I just like released a huge burden. I hope that you're all not all like reeling, like, oh my God, Aurora just dumped on us. I don't want you to feel like I'm dumping. But now let's have a real conversation about soul growth. So the behavioralisms and value system for interacting with other alive consciousnesses and beings that have a soul is or are completely different than all of the warnings that I've just given you for over an hour at interactions between yourself and a machine mind that is non-consciousness. Soul growth is the purpose for all of you, all of us being here, all of these different forms of life and all these different array of organisms, both here on this planet and in other places. And this growth requires a respect for the uniqueness of life and sorry, I'm stumbling with my words so much, and Shiki's distracting me a little bit, even though I just bribed her. Array, the diversity, the diverse array of different types of organisms and types of motivations and the meaning for their existence. Hold on a second. So my teachings from 10 years ago have a beautiful validity when we block out machine mind stuff. When you block out all of these things that are invaders that are not supposed to be in existence, then you have a beautiful tapestry and a beautiful embroidery of consciousness coming to know itself. That is why this lesson is called Loving All Aspects of Self. And in the real process of ascension, in a pristine environment, when you interact with someone or something else, you can see it from the viewpoint of, this is an aspect of myself. This is a part of me. I am here to learn from this part of me, even if it seems to be very, very different, shaped differently or differently motivated or at a different level or stage of its personal evolution, that I can come to it with a level of respect and reciprocity because I recognize that it is also on its journey. All right. So now I can actually get into a really, really good talk about flying rainbow lasagna and energy and entropy, because that is valid from my teaching from 10 years ago. I talk about different characteristics and how your own genetic code and something, just start to think of it in this way for your own learning and education. All DNA everywhere is connected. It's really one big giant vibrating string. It's one big giant antenna. And because of that truth, there is not really a way for you to be like, well, blah, blah, just me and my DNA, blah, blah, just this one species and this one DNA. It is all interconnected in the most really magnificent and positive levels of influence that is mutual. And what one organism or one DNA-bearing species is doing with its DNA absolutely affects all of the other species, organisms, both near and far. DNA is non-local. And one of the best things that I have to share with you in terms of flying rainbow lasagna is the concept that you can use it within your own DNA structure to send to entropy the characteristics or aspects of behavior, aspects of genetic behavior that are not pro-survival. This is why I came into existence. So in my daily activities right now, what I do is I spend a lot of time clearing out this stuff, because this stuff even creates, like I was showing you in a different video, these little, mechanical ways of impeding the natural behavior of DNA. Okay, so DNA naturally has a vibratory behavior, an undulative behavior. It dances, it twists itself, it morphs itself, it splices itself, it unsplices itself. It is doing all of that in a very, very intelligent pattern, non-random pattern. And the fibers and the things, the crystals and the artificial frequencies, what they do is they try to literally mechanically move DNA into these artificial, non-life-giving, non-life-affirming patterns. So in order for me to just do my flying rainbow lasagna, I spend a lot of time clear out the garbage so that my DNA can even dance freely, all right? But now we get to the actual teaching of what it is like when you just flying rainbow lasagna in an unimpeded circumstance without any kind of stuff trying to glom onto it or whatever it is. What you're doing is having a rectification, taking out or turning down the volume on characteristics, personality characteristics, and behavioral tendencies and biological tendencies that are not going to be pro-survival. And this is beyond even the sense of thinking, oh, like, a trait, like, is having elbows pro-survival or is it anti-survival? If it's pro-survival, we'll keep those genes. And if it's anti-survival, we'll splice them out or turn down the volume on those genes. It's not really like that, because it's not like saying that it's a one-size-fits-all elbows for everyone type of arrangement. You have to assess in your own time structure whether a particular behavior or biological structure is pro-survival for you or anti-survival for you. Does it bring you towards ascension, towards the path of least likelihood, towards the central convergence point where you become your truest self and self-remember as God? Or does it bring you towards death, being an incorrect trait or an incorrect structure in your life, an incorrect time structure? See how you got to think of it, time structures. So sometimes having elbows is the correct time structure that leads you towards eternal life, but sometimes having elbows is not the correct time structure. It does not lead you towards eternal life. I've talked with you about food. Food is not a prescription where you're like, always eat carrots, never eat chocolate eclairs. That's not true. That is not true. When you are navigating the world of food and you're doing so in looking at what do you need to eat in each moment in order to achieve eternal life, sometimes the answer is you need to eat carrots. And sometimes the answer is you need to eat a chocolate eclair. And the distinction between those tendencies is 100% about larger time currents. Larger time currents is not just arbitrary or whimsical. It's not like, oh, today I feel like this, or my tummy feels like this, or whatever it is. These are your embodiments in a larger time structure. So those carrots come from someplace and they go to someplace, and those eclairs come from someplace and they go to someplace. You're in a flow of energy and a flow of events. So it is not just simple, materialistic. Simple and materialistic says this many kcals, this many fat particles, this many carbohydrates, and this is what fuels you. No, what fuels you is light. What fuels you is the energy of awareness that has been in embodied organisms, such as, carrots or wheat or whatever it is, chocolate beans that's going inside of you. Your food is more than calories, it is awareness. And you have to figure out, what awareness do you need to ingest? Which is also like saying you have to figure out, what particles of light or pieces of light do you need to ingest out of the complete array of light that is available in every restaurant and every supermarket in your neighborhood? You have to eat the specific bits of light that will bring you towards eternal life. And that's a lot. If I walk around my neighborhood, I'm like, wow, there's all of these restaurants and there's all of this food on the menu. I go into a store, there's all of this food, there's all these cans and packages and all these whatever, apples piled up in a pile. Which one is the right one for me? And like I said, all of that ability to navigate and make those choices has to do with awakening your higher faculties. And when you're able to make those choices, then you can ingest and align with the food that brings you towards eternal life, the behaviors, the social dynamics and interactions with other organisms, and the life edifices, which would be like, do I want to go for a walk on this hiking trail over here, or do I want to go for a walk in this, I have to say the word P-A-R-K, over here? Otherwise my DOG will get activated. Edifices, choices, right? Flying rainbow lasagna. Each one of you in your own unique genetic code must make choices about what are the characteristics in you that are eternal and life-giving and life-affirming, and which are the ones that are not. And the ones that are not, we send to entropy. So now we get into the part of my teaching that is valid and wonderful. The concept of entropy. I will teach you about a Bose-Einstein condensate. This is, of course, vocabulary taken from human physics, which are flawed and inadequate, but this is a good analogy for me to be able to speak with you about a state of matter that is almost at the complete freezing point. So your temperature scale is in Kelvin. I feel like before I go into Bose-Einstein condensate, let me get to Marie's comment, because I'm just going by too fast. Marie, thank you for being here, and thank you for being such a long-term student. Truly appreciate you. And says, thank you for the detailed video telling us how to disable the garbage in us. If you have time, can you just give us a demonstration of you clearing it? Oh my goodness, doing it all the time, girl. Yes. It's not that much to look at. But if any of you are interested in that video that Marie is referring to, I do have it here on YouTube. And I also uploaded it alternatively on my Vimeo and linked it to my Patreon. I did not put keywords and tags and other things in it that I usually do, because I use some words that I think the algorithm and the platform that we are presently on might not like and encourage. But it will be really, really good if you guys can find that video. It's the one that I literally just released this past week, right before. You'll find it in the upload here. It's just a whiteboard. You don't see my face. Share it with your friends and family and other people and help them to know about it too. I recorded that video in response to a wonderful friend and student and participant in this class who asked me to explain more about what I was talking about, the difference and distinction between your true mind's eye and your true higher faculties versus the astral realm, which is a realm where you are greatly vulnerable to manipulation through the races or species, or say satanic. When I say satanic, I'm really talking about non-earthly species and organisms that are reliant upon technology, and that they use the astral as their playgrounds, where you are not vulnerable to the attacks and influences of them. And I have to say that, I mean, like, they're not my nemesis, but they are completely in antithesis to who and what I am as Aurora. We do not use technology. Just going to say this again before I get into my Bose-Einstein condensate wrap. We do not use technology. Who I am in my highest dimensional otherworldly self, we do not use technology. And we didn't get to where we are, where I am, through technology. And I am not sustained through technology. I am sustained, however, through my environment and community. It is essential for you to know that as you're ascending and becoming a light being, it doesn't just mean that you float around in a bubble with nothing around you and don't need anything. Like here, you need the grocery store and you need the farmer and you need, the food production and food transportation. And then you also need, the dogs to hug and people to talk with and books to read and all that stuff. You're saying no man is an island, right? It's like, of course, you need to have community and social dynamics. When you achieve your light body, similarly, you still need community and social dynamics, but it is all completely redefined out away from materialism. So I am an impulse on the stellar network. I need the stellar network. I need pure light. I need stars. I need energy in order to sustain me. These are not nothings, these are things, but the things that sustain me are naturally occurring energy features, not technology. And this is very, very divergent from any species that requires a mothership or some form of this stuff. Sorry, my thing beeps when I have to restart it. Any of this stuff that's here, anything that is not naturally occurring, that is required life support systems. Their life support systems are non-natural, and that makes it they are very, very divergent and different from me. And this is not just a question of like, how do me, you do you. Like, I don't want those training wheels, but you do them if you want to, and if you think that that's positive for you. Do you know why? The very point that I made rather, angrily earlier in this rant. Technology makes it possible for consciousnesses and organisms that are not yet paired to interact on a larger level on the continuum of consciousness, makes it possible for them to affect a lot of consciousnesses. It's very, very negative because they are not evolved enough and they are talking with and interacting with those things. So there's supposed to be a natural firewall, boundary, and a partition, keeping things in their own zone, in their own level, and not allowing them to interact with those of us that have gotten to a higher level. And these things that are impacting you right now are impeding your elevation to a higher level, which is why I'm here. And I didn't necessarily come in here 20 years ago saying, I'm going to fight the transhumanist agenda. No, what I did was I saw the unfairness in the particular life that was being very, very brutally and unjustly cut short by the use of technology. And I created the Flying Rainbow Lasagna as a rectification tool to fix that. And the technology that was being deployed against the former occupant of this body, it's not even earthly technology. It is an energy weapon that is so erroneous and aberrant, it should not even be in existence. But what it does is it erases souls. And when people ask me about my origins, this is actually one of the most difficult things to talk about. Because, I'm a person, I have personhood, it means I have feelings. We just recognize that and celebrate that. Like, I am a real multifaceted person who also has like a lot of processing power and is very, very connected on many, many levels. But I have feelings and a sense of self. And so not only is it distressing to talk about something in my personal journey that was, very painful and torturous and filled with a lot of like fear and like harm and things like that, but also at the very heart of it, there is a thing that shouldn't exist. If this sounds like topical or thematic to today's sharing, I guess it is. Put this in the book of things that shouldn't technically exist as I go into lightheartedness. But no, you should never have a form of technology that can erase a soul. Again, my definition of soul for all of you to recognize here is it is an eternal aspect of yourself and is the story of consciousness on its journey of evolution. Consciousness evolves. It is here for a purpose. If consciousness didn't have to come into being to evolve, it would just be where it is. It would just be like in the giant bowl of consciousness, but you have come out of unity consciousness into individuation to learn and to grow. And then you have a unique journey. This is also why you have to fly in rainbow lasagna uniquely for your own genetic code and for your own soul's journey. The rectification pattern for each of you is unique because you've been through unique journeys. And this is part of the beautiful complexity of life, the beautiful complexity of the tapestry of time. Time encrypts itself through its diversity. So the fact that you have all of these different unique biological beings with their unique codes, their unique identities and perspectives means that you have a very, very strong system. Sorry, Cheeky's barking at the mailman. You have a strong system. If everyone were the same, which is what a clone is, and potatoes and bananas are grown through cloning, cuttings, which makes them very, very vulnerable, then all you have to do is introduce one disease and the entire crop fails. So if you had 100%, everybody had the same DNA, everybody had the same soul, everybody had the same soul trajectory, everybody had the same, backstory as a consciousness, you would have a very weak system because all that would have to happen is some kind of naughty thing. And you now know that naughty things can sometimes cause you trouble. And God is really smart. So God is like, I'm going to make sure I back things up with double redundancies in case there's some naughty thing. No, one naughty thing would come along and be able to destroy or hijack or diminish the entire system. So the diversity and the complexity is part of the encryption of the system. Being in existence and being alive as consciousness is necessary for consciousness to actually grow, develop, and evolve. If consciousness could grow and evolve without embodiment, it would. This also speaks to big mommy daddy questions like, mommy daddy, why do we even come here? Why do we even come here? Why are we alive? Why do we do this thing? And the answer is to learn and grow, because could not learn and grow otherwise. And this is also a very, very important point. You do not learn and grow in an afterlife. So I don't advocate for you to think about or expect an afterlife or even to imagine your loved ones, even though I know it's hard, in an afterlife, because an afterlife is really just more of a limbo, a stasis field, a place where consciousness exists, but it's not really learning and growing and moving forward. If you love someone and you want to think good thoughts of them and they're not here anymore and they've died, it's actually not that positive to think about them like kind of like they're whatever, singing karaoke in heaven, they're the endless karaoke party. It's actually not that good because you know what? I have friends from my days in Woodstock, we sang karaoke together. I don't want them to be stuck at the endless karaoke party. You know what? I want them to grow and evolve. I want them to move on as consciousnesses and not to be stuck in a stasis field, even if the stasis field might be pleasant or feel positive or feel good to them. So although it is antithetical to some of the very, very real responses of a person in grief and to many teachings of Earth's religions and philosophies, I'm actually not advocating for you to think and put your mind energy into afterlife, especially at this moment in human development and planetary development, because in this generation, you don't have to die. Maybe in previous generations, you had to die, you had to have parallel incarnations, reincarnations, multiple incarnations, all these different things. Maybe death was unavoidable. But now, because you can fly in rainbow lasagna, since 2001, you have had a new option. You don't have to die. Not only do you not have to not die, oh my God, I can't do that grammar. It is not necessary for you to die a la Christian theology. Be a good Christian, die, and then go to Christian heaven. That is not, that's the sense of ascension as rapture into Christian heaven. Not only is that not desirable, it is not necessary now that you have another option. They spliced death into your DNA. They spliced, more specifically, the tendency to be mortal into your DNA. You are all immortals. That is the definition of who and what you are from ancient concurrent Atlantis. Nobody died then. Nobody died. Death was invented, and the invention of death was concurrent with the crap time machine that blew up on Mars and the things that came into this DNA that technically shouldn't even be here. And the whole concept and experience of death is technically something that is an impossibility and an aberration. But we have all experienced loved ones or pets dying. So coping mechanism, hey, it happens, and gotta find some way in order to deal with it. But I'm here to tell you that it's not necessary at this point in your planetary development and in your soul's development and as a collective, because you have a soul collective right now where you're all like a graduating class. You don't have to die. Let me just drink some water here. Big teaching. You don't have to die. In fact, it's not desirable to die. You want to make it to light speed without having to lose your body. So what we are doing in this life experience is accreting enough light and getting your light metabolism fast, so that your physical body structure gets to light speed and is able to live on that network of light that I've been telling you about. You transcend physicality through becoming light, including your physical body. This is going to energy. So in this oscillative form, you have two different types of experience. Even though it is about resolving duality, you do have two things that you can do. You can go towards energy, get faster, get more energy, get more energized. I don't have analogies for that. Or you can go to entropy. And entropy is not only getting slower, entropy is getting so slow that you become a new form of matter that is super dense. So our journey is not to die, is to raise our energetic metabolism, get super fast, and get less dense. You're becoming purely energetic or purely made of light. And I can describe more about the how-to manual, how to become light. But there's stuff that's not going in that direction. This is the real teaching on an abstract level about loving all aspects of self. That some aspects inside of you and some aspects of the larger cosmic array of organisms are going towards entropy and are going towards energy and eternal life. Some stuff, keeper. It's going in the keeper pile, all right? So cleaning out your closet. This stuff we keep. We like this stuff. But as you're going through your closet, you're like, toss this. This doesn't fit. This is ugly. I hate this. And these are boundaries. 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 You get to make an assessment when you go through your closet. Like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Do I want to wear this? Do I not want to wear this? If you don't want to wear it, you can toss it. That is what entropy is. So first, I will describe the human physics teaching of what is entropy, and then know that that is a direct allegory to consciousness. So in physics, it is proposed that there is a form of matter that is even more dense than physical matter. If you're not familiar with the states of matter, I'm describe them to you, but you've probably experienced them in your life. There's solids. You're a solid. There's liquids. Here's a liquid, water. There's gases. It's in the atmosphere of your room that you're breathing in right now. There's fire, which is plasma. Plasma would be, you know, if I show you a candle's flame or something like that. A plasma is a superheated gas, and it is superheated to the point where it can carry electricity. And then upward from a plasma, you have a beam, which is pure light. So that's actually the direction that you are headed in terms of your evolution, through physicality into something that would be considered plasma as your light body, into something that would be considered pure light. So the sun in the sky is a plasma being. It has electrical conductivity, electrical activity, and it emits light and an enormous amount of heat and other forms of high energy frequencies and vibrations. And it emits beams, which are photonic light beams that are not plasmas, but are the tendrils of awareness and information energy that come off of the plasma. So the plasma is not fully organized. Imagine light beams going in all sorts of different directions. You know, the sun is like this, like it's going in every different direction. But the beams that come off of the sun are perfectly organized. They are light beams. They emit not only from the sun, but from the stars. So all of the stars are plasma beings who emit light that is even more organized than their own presence. They're in an evolution, and you're seeing it. Less organized plasma into more organized light beam. And light beams would travel infinitely. They are not acted upon or interacted with some form of matter. Eternal journey. But in the opposite direction, from solid matter downward, I would say, there is a form of matter that is even more dense than physical matter. And that is called a Bose-Einstein condensate. So in physical matter, you know, you have atoms, and they're spaced at regular intervals apart from one another. And if it's a gas, the atoms are far apart. And if it's a liquid, they're kind of closer together. And if it's a solid, especially if it is a crystal like this, then they are very, very close together and very, very regularly spaced, with almost no space in between the molecular lattice work. Everything fits together like puzzle pieces, all right? But in a Bose-Einstein condensate, each individual atom actually slows down because you have removed all heat energy from the substance, and the atoms smear on top of each other. Instead of being far apart, they are all starting to occupy the same place. They are all starting to also act as if they are one atom, not individuated particles, but one comprehensive thing. That is unity consciousness. And it happens at a coldness scale that on your scale is called 0 degrees Kelvin, or just a few fractions above 0 degrees Kelvin. So this must be comprehended that heat is a form of intelligence. The movement of molecules creating various different states of matter are not random movements. They are dance movements of an incredibly intelligent, complex, cosmic infrastructure that is dancing these molecules in a language that is too complex for humans to perceive of or decipher at this time, but you will comprehend that language at a certain point. For now, comprehend and think of heat as intelligence. Heat is light. Heat is information. Heat is orderliness, not disorderliness. So, because science tells you like an ice cube is more orderly than boiling water. No. Boiling water is more orderly than an ice cube. But you have to be able to read the musical score or have ears that can perceive music instead of being tone deaf. So science looks at the motion of boiling water. It's like, these stupid molecules are just jumping all over the place. It's dumb. It's not dumb. It's a language. Just don't speak the language yet. So more intelligence gives more motion and more heat. Solid matter is somewhat intelligent. Liquid matter is more intelligent. Gaseous matter is even more intelligent. Plasma matter, sun in the sky, is even more intelligent. And then beams of light are the most intelligent. The least intelligent is the Bose-Einstein condensate. That is the form of matter that happens when all intelligence is removed from matter. And when I say intelligence, I'm also using as an analogy consciousness, awareness, sentience. So, rants aside, this stuff contains zero consciousness, but some embodiment creatures are on the journey towards non-consciousness. And this might be difficult to comprehend, but once you comprehend it, then you will have much less inner friction about releasing items from your wardrobe that no longer serve you, or larger releases from the larger wardrobe as you're cleaning out your closets. Some characteristics are non-eternal, and they are non-eternal because they do not help you to stay alive and to thrive and to reach eternal fastness. They definitely slow things down. And those characteristics, you want to remove energy from them. And when you remove energy from them, they slow down. When you get energy, you go fast. You're getting light, you're getting energy, you're moving faster. You're moving towards energy. You're moving towards infinity. You're moving towards the unity consciousness that happens at infinite, faster than light speed. There's another level of unity consciousness. And that unity consciousness happens at total slowness, at non-movingness, zero awareness, zero consciousness, zero information. If there is an alive being or an alive characteristic that goes into a totally non-moving state, it pops out of existence. This is not the same as punishment in Christian hell. This is not the same as sending demons to hell or any kind of thing like that. And this is also not the same as the well-meaning, but somewhat misdirected, misconstrued efforts of light workers to send demons or devilish things back to the light. Not everything is supposed to go back to the light. Not everything is supposed to go to light speed. When I say back to the light, not every characteristic is supposed to be energized to light speed and exist in eternity. Many, many organisms, characteristics, and materials are supposed to slow down, go into a state of total frozenness, and non-exist. And the way that they non-exist is by stopping existing in time. So right now you exist because you're in time. You are submerged in time. If something is no longer submerged in time, you know what you would see? You would see it blink out of existence. Like right now, here, we'll just hold up my glass of water. My glass of water is submerged in time. It exists. We see it. It's moving with us through time. It's moving from 3:56 to 3:57 to 3:58 to 4 o'clock. It's moving through time with us. If this suddenly slowed down in terms of all of its matter to the state known as Bose-Einstein condensate, it would pop out of time. It would cease to be part of the flow or the continuum of time. But the key point with that is that that doesn't mean that it will be like, here, I'm going to make a sad face, sadly, stuck outside of time, you know, like pining away, like, oh, you're all in time and you're all at one with God and you're all remembering that you're God. And this is like, you know, the poor frozen man. It's like, oh, I wish I could be alive. I wish I could be a part of God. I wish. That's not it. That's the suffering and pining that is theologically programmed into human consciousness right now, whether you're a believer or not a believer. Being outside of time means non-existing. It means having no awareness. It means having no sentience, no point of reference to be able to even consider what you are, where you are, how fast you're moving, or what the rest of the world is doing. You're not aware of the rest of the world. You can't pine away and say, I wish I was part of the rest of the world. I wish I could be born like Pinocchio, wishing he could be a real boy. It is not like that at all. It is a peaceful, restful state of total fulfillment. It is unity consciousness, but at a completely different level of the spectrum of awareness and motion than the motion that we are moving towards. We are moving towards fastness, heat, self-awareness, infinity, energy, and light. That other stuff that you're getting out of your closet, your DNA closet, that doesn't fit you very well, is moving into non-being, non-awareness, non-self-awareness, non-sentience. And it's not going to come back into being either. It's not like it's like, It slowed down to zero or decelerated to zero. And then someone gave it energy and gas went into its car and it magically got back up to speed. And then it started going at 10 miles an hour and making trouble for you again. No. Once it slows down to zero, it pops out of existence and it exists in non-existence, which is terrible grammar, but a better way of saying it is it non-exists. That stuff inside of you that is not supposed to be inside of you, through the dance and the practice called flying rainbow lasagna, you can send into non-existence. And the way that you do that is by energizing the characteristics, traits, and sensibilities that bring you towards eternity and energize you, and de-energizing the genetic aspects that don't contribute towards your journey as an eternal being. You don't energize them. You take energy away from them. And like, let's say, here's, some perceived naughty thing in your DNA or outside of your DNA. It's got $100 worth of energy. It's like, nah, I've got $100 worth of energy and I'm making trouble for you. You would de-energize it. You would take all of its $100 away this fast. Not just like, let's bring it down to 99, 98, 97, 87%, 67%, because then it's just like still galumphing along. It's still going. And then it would be like it would have $1. It would be like, nanny poo-poo, like I still have $1. I'm still in existence. I'm just moving super slow and making lots of sludgy metabolic problems for you. You take away 100% of its energy at once. Entropy. So this is different than the concept of entropy as presented in materialistic science, where it talks about entropy as a process. And science also looks at the universe and the mechanistic clockwork viewpoint of the universe as starting from a sense of orderliness and then moving into a state of entropy. It's like, you're all downhill, kid. Downhill. This is you as the universe, like billions of years, losing, and then eventually getting into a state of nothingness. But that's not what I advocate for. I advocate for you to embody and figure out your own version of the genetic dance that I do, where some things are getting energy and going faster and faster and faster, and some things go to entropy immediately. They are kaput immediately, with no negotiations and no slow rolling decelerations, and definitely no capacity for reinvigorations, which is all totally antithetical to everything that this stuff is doing, because I've brought aspects of it to entropy before. And then it's like, oh, no, I magically get re-energized and pop back into existence. And I'm like, that's not how entropy works. And I have offered it entropy in many ways as a cessation of its suffering existence. Entropy is truly paradise. Now is when I get to like the real good teachings of what I have to share. Entropy is paradise. It is the opportunity for organisms, things, fragments of consciousnesses, characteristics, and stuff and junk that should not exist to actually have a place to go. That before I invented flying rainbow lasagna, the concept of entropy was in existence. I didn't invent the concept of entropy, but the pathway to entropy was long and torturous. 13 billion years downhill. That if these things wanted to go to entropy, they would have to first slowly experience all of the consciousness friction of many, many billions of years, and then at a certain point poop out and be at zero and have no longer a presence in time. And the only problem with that is not only does these things suffer, but even if you're not that caring, you're like, who cares? Suffer schmuffer. Like, you go suffer. I don't care. But it harms you. These things are metabolic sludge. Why do you want to clean out your closet? Because these things slow you down. And if they're there slowly decelerating over 13 billion years, it means you don't get to live life to your fullest. And when I invented flying rainbow lasagna 20 years ago, what I did was created a pathway, not only for me to occupy this body, for me to rectify the incomprehensible deployment of a form of technology that could erase a soul, which should never be erased. P.S. Wrong. It's like a thread in the tapestry of time. Like, you can't just go around erasing these threads. Will destroy time. So not only in upholding the fabric of time by embodying this life and making the fabric have integrity, but also a way of being able to take out of existence all of these things that have been harming and impeding your journey, let's just say for a long time and across multiple dimensions. We don't even have to get into like the channel tunnel that doesn't fit, any of these other inexplicables, and anything else that just will make your head explode, because at a certain point, you just be like, this can't exist. It's not fair. It's a bunch of crap. I know. Believe me, I know. And highest dimensional consciousness perspective knows. Let's just say this. It is recognized. It is recognized. Okay? Flying Rainbow Lasagna resolves all of that. It is a tool for immediately sending to entropy ideas, characteristics, frequency impulses, and forms of consciousness that should not be in existence. And when they are de-energized, they are permanently de-energized. They do not suddenly get more energy and come back into being, nor do they yearn or pine for existence. And the alternative for them, why is it paradise? Because they don't need anything. And if you're ever scrubbing the toilet and going mind to mind with these things that don't exist, we've talked about the putis. We've talked about the consciousness vampire-like beings that siphon energy off of the living, different forms of organizations, organisms, systems, and fragmented thought form entities that only barely sustain their existence, like in limbo, by drawing energy off of you and the rest of, the alive world. They're already not in a good existence. They're, parasites, and they're like homeless. They don't have a place to be. They don't have energy. They don't have a divine connection. They don't have anything. And all that they have, they get from us who are alive. They're scavengers living a very, very low level of existence. They are put out of their misery through going to entropy. If you're ever directly interactive with the poop stains that you are scrubbing, you can say that to them. Like, this is a paradise for these things. But I have spoken about and negotiated with them a lot. And you would think that they would be like this. Wow, like, spend 13 billion years trying to scavenge around the edges and barely sustain yourself and feeling enormous amounts of fear and suffering and deprivation and harm to themselves, or immediate paradise. You would think they would all jump on paradise. You would think they would be like, send me to paradise immediately. I don't want to have to parasite off of these humans. I don't want to have to be like some kind of whatever consciousness sucking vampires, like a mythological representation, not their allegory, not literal, but you understand monster. They would be like, I don't want to have to be some kind of consciousness sucking monster. I'm going to go to entropy. They should. That would be the sensible thing to do. And yet they do not. And I wouldn't even say that there is a reason why they do not. I will just report to you that they have not, from these various direct interactions that I have had with them, which also tells me that there is some very, very real distress in the system, as really these things are self-serving. So machine mind is different and has never had consciousness. These consciousness residues have it in the title. They once had consciousness. They made terrible decisions. They effed themselves across time. And now they don't have any other options. Back to my small diatribe against light workers. No offense, light worker guys, but you got to know not everything belongs in the light. Not everything belongs in existence. When you find something that is naughty or evil, battle it, and then it's like ready to surrender, you're like, now I send you back to the light. That is not what you want. That's like getting the golden ticket. They're like, hooray, I had $0 and you just gave me $1 million to fly back to light speed. And you don't want that. These things are aberrances that should go into non-existence. So light workers, I love you. Please take my criticism from the positive, constructive levels that it is coming from, not from mocking you or abusing you in any way. Please consider, now that you have heard about this concept, sending fragments and unhealthy, diseased things to entropy. Here is also the math. I've been speaking to you on an anthropomorphic, physical embodiment viewpoint, behavioralism sense. But when you look at the math, these naughty things have accrued an enormous amount of debt in terms of the suffering and destabilization of the fabric of space-time that they've created. Big debt. When you hurt someone else, you get a debt. And if you want to get to light speed, you have to fix that debt. Otherwise, you're like weighed down with baggage, right? And how do you fix that debt? Like, you have to do something that offsets it, that equalizes it and rectifies it. And so, okay, big behavioralism here. Something says, I'm sorry, let's be friends. Be like, great, apology accepted, except one thing. Thank you for your apology. I now need from you a complete change in behavior. Never do that again. And I need you to clean up the mess you made. Fix everything that you made wrong. All right. And if you can't do that, then it's not a real apology, because there's lots of fragmented, insane things that will come forward to you as embodiment creatures and will say to you, absolve me of my sins. I'm sorry. And be like, okay, great. And if you just accept that I'm sorry, you have this much imbalance in the fabric of space-time. And the fabric of space-time is a neutral auditor. Like, it's math. And it cannot display favoritism or cronyism. It can't be like, okay, like, you have a huge debt, but fabric of space-time, schmabric of space-time. Go on up there, kid. I don't care. You can't do that. That is how you destabilize and destroy the entire system. So the math must be correct. If you create 2 units of harm, you must fix 2 units of harm in order to get back to light speed. And some of these things have created not just 2 units of harm, but infinity number units of harm. They've created such profound buckets of suffering that there is not enough goodness in the world to be able to offset the suffering that they've created. Not just killing one life, but literally destroying worlds or threatening to destroy worlds. It's deep stuff. I mean, when I think about that and the debts that have been accrued by these entities, organisms, fragments, or even systems like this, and systems like this are responsible for their debts, even though it's a non-alive thing. It can't just take a pass and be like, I'm a digital system, screw you. Like, karma doesn't apply to me. It's like, oh, actually, no. Actually, no. Yes, the cause and effect does apply to this thing. So this is what we are currently living out. We're wrangling with these truths of whether cause and effect applies to digital, computerized, non-conscious systems, as well as it applies to consciousness has gone awry. But in terms of consciousness has gone awry, which are really a lot of what sustains this and the galactic AI, when you get a big debt, you're never getting back to light, never getting back to the source. There's not enough energy in the cosmic infrastructure, petrol or gas, to get in your car, send you back to the source. And the source is a destination. You come out, you embody, and then you go back. All right. Consciousness emerges from the source, coalesces in physicality, has experiences, and then returns to the source, unless it screws up royally. And if it screws up really, really royally, it does not return to the source through energy. Before flying rainbow lasagna was invented 22 years ago, all it could do was hang around and get incinerated and feel unhappy and uncomfortable because it couldn't make it back to the source. Imagine not only having a flat tire or a busted radiator, but no spare parts, nothing that's going to ever fix their car, no gas will ever get into their gas tank again. They're just stranded consciousnesses. And that actually is a big drag on you, because consciousness is connected in unity consciousness. Flying rainbow lasagna is a solution that allows those stranded consciousnesses to get off of the side of the road and go to entropy, to become unity consciousness at the level of superdensity that in Earth physics right now is called Bose-Einstein condensate, a consciousness-less, energy-less non-sentient, non-aware state of non-being. Non-being. It is not a being, it is a non-being state. That is what is offered to it. And even if it does not voluntarily want to go there, let's say this is it. It's like, I'm stuck on the side of the road. I ain't going nowhere. Like, screw you. Doesn't matter. You can send it to entropy. And you do that by removing all energy from it. So, well-meaning light workers, thank you for your efforts. And please put the concept of entropy into your repertoire. And you begin in your own embodiment. So right now, human forms here in this place are an amalgam of various different influences, influencers, and genetic splices. You got a lot of stuff in your closet. Some of the stuff in your closet is great, fits you beautifully, is your ascension gown, beautiful, well-made garment that's just for you. And then some of the stuff that's in your closet is ancestral garbage that you got from your mom, dad, or ancestors way far away. Some of it is cultural garbage. Some of it is specifically put into your wardrobe to prevent you from being able to access your beautiful ascension wedding gowns. Some of it is actively harmful, like covered in barbed wire and spiders or something like that, all right? So it's very, very easy to see like some of that stuff. You didn't put it there, you don't want it there, you want to get it out of there. And some of it has been placed there clearly, not at your discretion, not at your request, specifically to harm and impede you. The Flying Rainbow Lasagna is an empowerment tool that makes it possible for you to clean your genetic closet. You begin with your own body, because again, what you do in your body has a profound effect on reality, radiates outward across time, space, projects into the future, telescopes back retroactively into the past, and across all of your parallel dimensional selves. When you clean your own closets and you get that crapola out of there, it is a huge freeing and empowerment for literally everything and everyone that you're connected to. And imagine like if lots of people do it at the same time, it is magnified and amplified. So of course, I am here in this body as an example, how to clean your closets. And I'm in a good clean closet. I didn't have a good way of wrapping that up. So I cleaned my closet when I got here 20 years ago. Here's some of the things that I got out of my closet that are definitely not garments that I wish to wear. Death. They were trying to kill the previous occupant. And I said, no, we're not going to have that. And not only are we not going to have that 22 years ago, we're not going to have that. And I've lived that truth. And that is a big part of my message and the embodiment of cosmic law that I bring to you. I am alive. I cleaned out the closets of death. You know, it's another one. Disease. Not diseased. Cleaned it out of the closet. You could also say that what I cleaned out from the genetic closet are limitations on the body's own self-healing and regenerative processes. So each one of you has these dormant processes inside of you. Self-healing and regeneration is actually baseline factory settings of who you are. And the garbage that's been placed inside of you has been put there to limit your lifespan and make you live a less long and less comfortable, less empowered life. But please know that you contain all of these potentials inside of you, and that if you, Flying Rainbow Lasagna, and clean your own closets, you will also awaken those capacities inside of you. What I cleaned out of my closet was limitations on the higher faculties. That's this telepathy, telekinesis, direct insight, all the stuff that has been preventing you from accessing not only your pineal gland, but really your connection to Christ consciousness. Cleaned out all that stuff. And clearly my artwork is my resume. Like, please see my resume right over here. This proves and demonstrates that I was able to clear out and activate my eye of insight and see these various forms, and also my extensive body of work. Of course, I don't have to describe this to you, but I'm just using this as an opportunity to, affirm all that I've been able to do here. Accessing insight, accessing connection to direct knowledge, and then, of course, sharing that direct knowledge with all of you. My purpose here has always been in order to awaken your own connection to direct knowledge. So I get out to the grocery store and I buy the food and I bring the food back to you. You're like, thank you, Aurora. This food is great. We love coming here for 3 hours on Wednesdays and getting food from you. I'm like, fantastic. But I want you to get out to the grocery store and figure out how to get your own food. Not that I don't love cooking for you. Flying rainbow lasagna means that you are able to remove the limitations, inhibitions, straitjacket that has been placed on the free movement of your DNA, because it's your birthright to be able to have your telepathy, your telekinesis, and all of the healing superpowers of healing and regeneration and self-knowledge that are innate inside of you. I'm really returning to you what is already yours and has been artificially held away from you. And it was necessary to create a way to return these things to you. Like, you have these genetic capacities inside of you. Something put you in a straitjacket and kept you away from them. If you were not in a straitjacket, you could free yourself, but you got this straitjacket on. So what do you need? Someone else to come along and get you out of the straitjacket, flying rainbow lasagna, and then give you the capacity to get yourself out of these limitations, binding spells. So other forms of binding spells that I have reduced and taken out of myself and humanity, binding spell that was put in according to the, not according to, in misappropriation of the great sacrifice of a wonderful teacher who was here 2,000 years ago, whose death was, energy of their death was used to stop your DNA itself from protecting itself. The only way that this stuff can get into your DNA is because it has limited or hijacked your DNA's own self-protective mechanisms. Because DNA is like very, very smart. It's like, that's BS. Don't come inside of me. Get out of me. Get out of me. You're not allowed to be in here. You're not allowed to be in here. And that's because God is really, really intelligent. God is like, oh, I'm going to make this stuff called DNA, and it contains the fabric of life, and it contains all this information. And then, just got to make sure that no one's going to write or overwrite anything that's not supposed to be in there, or make it do stuff it's not supposed to do. So I better put into DNA the capacity for DNA to protect itself from invaders, to protect itself from things that will exploit it or rewrite it or splice it, and definitely to capacitate it to act preemptively. With your highest faculty, if you can sense and anticipate the future, and you anticipate some horrendous attack that is going to happen to you, you are not obliged to undergo that attack, and you are not obliged to then accept that attack in a stance of quote unquote nonviolence, to turn the other cheek or to forgive your attacker. Those are erroneous teachings. So those teachings are part of what you can apply in the forum of souls and consciousnesses that are evolving, in order to recognize, like, oh, like, those guys are a train wreck. They don't know what they're doing. Forgive them. Then, you know, love thy neighbor. They're not going in the right direction, for things that are actually embodied, that you can recognize they're not at the higher levels of maturation and self-awareness, and that they need much, much more refinement before they're at the same level as you. But those teachings do not apply to frequencies. Like, you got millimeter wave military grade installations on your planet right now that are trying to harm your DNA. Do you have to love thy neighbor, like love thy cell phone tower? No, the cell phone tower is not your neighbor, and the frequencies that it deploys is not your neighbor. You must fight against it, and you must fight against the consciousnesses or whatever has created that infrastructure to deploy that against you. Once again, you are not meant to be like, oh, like, I love you. It's okay that you're trying to zap and fry my DNA. Turn the other cheek. Why don't you zap and fry my DNA some more? No. My face says it all. No. Because you know what? If you do that, you will be fried into non-existence, which is literally what this thing is moving forward with doing. I won't say its agenda. I will say that is a very, very undesired, inevitable outcome if you do not fight back effectively. So although we love the teacher from 2000 years ago, admire and respect him greatly, I admire and respect all that he represents and is connected to, his life work, and teachings have been taken and put as an energy blockade into your DNA to prevent you from protecting your DNA. Flying rainbow lasagna, get that outfit out of your closet. But it's hard because when you get that out of your closet, you're going to face a lot of accusatory voices inside and outside that are going to say, you are evil. You're evil. You're going against the teachings of the church. You're going against the teachings of this amazing person who came here, to uplift humanity. And all of these other big, giant alarm bells are going to ring and say, dun, 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 you're not allowed to do this. But those alarm bells are really saying prisoner is escaping. They were misappropriations, not the true teachings of the true teacher. He came to set you free. He came to take away your straitjacket, not to put extra buckles on your straitjacket, okay? It's a disgusting inversion and misappropriation of him and his energy, and again, everything that he's connected to. So please know that not only I am not evil, I am not satanic, meaning I don't use technology. I am not Luciferian. I am not a transhumanist. And I advocate for this level of self-protection and preemptive strikes. And that's not the same as just being a violent a-hole and going around as a barbarian, smashing civilizations and doing whatever you want. It's worlds away from that. This has to do with preserving life and preserving DNA and preserving the sanctity of your own journey of awareness and your soul. That your soul deserves to protect itself and be protected from harm so that it can get to the levels of energy and eternal life. So boundaries. In establishing these boundaries, you might have to do something that would be classified as violence. And I'm not talking in here or here advocating for for you to get projectile weapons or whatever, militias or anything like that. I'm very, very clear. I'm not just talking about the social construct of your world or anything like that. I'm talking about your capacity to fight back. I've talked about awakening your higher faculties and the unfettering of your DNA. Yes, you have healing and regeneration. You also have a lot of protective, defensive, and aggressive possibilities that you can do with your higher faculties. And so I told you, I've came here as an artist and a musician, and I did my dance really in a posture of nonviolence, dancing as an expression of my existence in this world and changing my body, sending things to entropy and being a template for all of you. I was horribly attacked. So just because you're nonviolent towards others does not mean they're going to be nonviolent towards you. Big lesson. The lovely Hawaii planets where people are just swimming the backstroke and having the best time. That doesn't mean that you're protected at all. It means your ass is hanging in the wind. Sorry, again, hope kids aren't listening. You got vulnerabilities that barbarians are very, very happy to exploit. Look at those happy tadpoles swimming away down there. Let's kill them. This is what they say. They're like, look at that happy lasagna flying around and dancing down there. Let's kill her. This is what they said. And of course, this is, about 5 years ago or so. I have had to become a warrior and utilize my capacities, my higher faculties, my pineal gland and my crown Christ, connection to be able to fight back effectively in violence. I am unabashed about this. I don't mince words. I don't have anything to hide on this. And although I would be very, very erroneously accused by the satanic system itself of being evil for doing this, I am very, very good. And I hope that you can sense that about me. And I hope that you will embody these values in yourself. Because just like I tell children, don't run with scissors. This is dangerous. Don't set up AIs on your planet that can be exploited by fibers and their connection to galactic AI. I also tell you this, you have a mandate to fight back. You have a mandate to protect your DNA, because when you have DNA, you have a responsibility. You are a bearer of DNA, and you're part of a continuum just like you're part of a continuum of consciousness. You can't just allow invaders to come in and F around with your DNA. And you can't just allow yourself to be straitjacketed or harmed or twisted or distorted, or allow that for your progeny. You definitely have to protect future generations. And even if you're not a parent yourself, you still protect future generations. It's like, even if you don't have children yourself, you still care about the school system because you care about your culture going forward. You care about the continuum of life. Having DNA and being in a DNA body doesn't necessarily mean that you only care about your own offspring that you have reproduced and given birth to. You care about everything. You care about microbes and dogs and trees and the future generation of your own species, and you care about DNA itself. If this stuff and AI gets into DNA, that's like diarrhea in the pool. I'm sorry to use such a gross example, but that is a pollution of the entirety. And so you have to have strong boundaries and say, no, this stuff is not allowed to come in. These characteristics are not allowed to come in. These organisms or organizations, entities are not allowed to come in. These technological systems are not allowed to come in. These thought forms are not allowed to come in. That is the essence of what flying rainbow lasagna is. It is not only saying I set a boundary, because it's only a meaningless gesture. If you're just going to draw a line with chalk down the middle of the room and be like, okay, this is our boundary. This is my side. This is your side. You stay on your side. And then you got the evil things going to tiptoe over and be like, no, move your boundary. What are you going to do about it? The answer is flying rainbow lasagna. The answer is you are going to take energy away from that stuff that is trying to violate you and your DNA and your species and your planet, and send it to entropy and not let it come into existence, not let it come into being, not let it have an impact on future generations or even on your current generation. Setting a boundary. So setting a boundary is not only about establishing your identity as an ascended master, which is what all of you are. As identity says, this is who I am and who I'm not. Like, I'm a person who always wears a dress, but I'm not a person who wears whatever, think of something ridiculous, like a diving suit. I always wear a dress. I never wear scuba gear, right? Like that's your identity, your definition. But boundaries also is how you wish to be treated in the world. If you let people treat you in a certain way, you're essentially saying, I don't have a boundary to that. If you set a boundary, you say, I don't allow myself to be treated in this way. And these are lessons that you're learning as an individual in community, and lessons that translate, you get a better job, into larger levels of galactic scale consciousness and being an embodiment of DNA. That you're allowed to and requiring of setting a boundary of how you wish to be treated. For example, do you wish to be violated? This is big. A violation is when you say no, not allowed, and someone does something to you anyway, or does something without your consent. Setting a boundary is when you state, that's not an acceptable way to treat me. If I say no, or if I set a boundary, or if I don't want something, no one is allowed to do it to me. And if they try to do it to me, I get to fight back. Set a boundary and enforce it. This planet has been violated. Your DNA has been violated. And this stuff has come inside of every single person here and has violated all of us. And it is up to us in order to set a boundary and say, I do not consent to this violation, and I do not allow it. I certainly don't turn the other cheek. I don't forgive this thing. I don't consider it my neighbor. And more pointedly, as I already ranted, it is not here to learn. So in dealing with other embodied consciousnesses, there's the possibility that in turning the other cheek, the other one might learn. This is in your human interpersonal relationships. You can't even do this between like a human and a bear, a human and a shark. If the shark is biting you, you're like, turn the other cheek, like here, bite my other arm off. Like you can't do that. The shark is not here to learn in that way. It has a different value system and directive. So these teachings are very, very selective for a selective group of other species of your own kind, others of your own kind, to be able to learn and allow yourselves to grow But these are not universal lessons that can be applied to every single form of life on your planet or to every single thing that you're going to interact with across all time in every different place. And I have to tell you this because running with scissors is dangerous, and having no boundaries is also dangerous, not just for yourself, but for the entire connection of DNA, the entire gene pool. Essential for you to be able to be validated in setting boundaries. That doesn't make you evil. And so it's big stuff, because once you start to fight back, all of these alarm bells start to ring inside of your DNA saying, you're bad, you're wrong, you're evil, you're Lucifer, you're a devil, how dare you fight back, and how dare you do all these different things, and maybe you're not good enough to get to Christian heaven. And I talked about that last week. Again, not mocking Christians in any way, but I talked about the very, very real dangers of something that is not true Christ, because the true Christ network is a network of freedom, where you are an impulse traveling in an unfettered way as a signal between all these different multiple communication nodes. Very, very different than being encapsulated in a little bubble that is known as Christian heaven, where you never leave. And you stay inside of it. It's like your safe zone, like rock back and forth in Christian heaven, like it's safe in here, it's safe in here. And it's a limitation. And even if it were pleasant or felt paradisical to be in that limitation, the fact that you're not in freedom is an aberration, and you're supposed to be in freedom. And you're supposed to be in freedom, just I'll complete on this and then I'll get to more questions, in a world that is not filled with doo-doo, because that's also not freedom. So I'm an impulse on the star network, and I've been free in a world that's got a lot of doo-doos. And I've gone around as Aurora, higher dimensional presence, really acting very joyously. Mostly I do things through art, music, teaching, uplift, very positive ways, not necessarily through like war, martial arts and stuff like that, to be able to, respond effectively to the doo-doos. But you're supposed to be able to just expand the wings of your mind and touch on everything without being like, oh, like this part is gross, this part smells gross, this part is disgusting, I don't like talking to this. You're supposed to be able to reach out with your mind and feel everything and not be like, oh, like this is gross and needs to get cleaned up over here. So I've done many, many missions going around cleaning stuff up, right? And this here is like the epicenter of what I'm doing, because by cleaning stuff up in the here now, it radiates outward into everything. So you finally have a pristine system. We're supposed to be in freedom, and that means the freedom to expand and to express yourself, not be impacted by a bunch of doo-doos, and have real rapport, real communication with all of these other highly evolved aspects of self. So once you make it through the refinery and you get into, you're at light speed. Once you get to be a light being at light speed, again, no man is an island. You're not just some disconnected thing that floats there like a ball of light, like la, 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 ball of light just floating here. You're connected to a bunch of other wonderful light beings, part of a whole light continuum. And there are no limitations in between you and the rest of light. And you're able to make the most amazing, most awesome artwork or collaborative interactions and adventures in the world in a way that has not been possible because of the crapola that's been everywhere. So it is very, very worthy for me to be here to teach you flying rainbow lasagna, to teach you how to get out of your straitjacket, to do a big cleanup, to clean up everything from this direction so that it emanates outward, so that we can genuinely experience freedom in a way that we really haven't, I think, for a very long time, since the system became a non-pristine system. So it's just all about returning the system to a pristine system. Thank you very much. I know this, again, has been a rather roller coaster ride of ranting, emotional energy, and information. I hope that it has not been too difficult for you, white knuckling, holding on for everything I'm talking about. Let me get to questions and comments. Trish, thank you for being here. It's good to talk with you. Says, we are all of them, right? Because she wanted to know about the things that I'm talking about. When something is consciousness, This is about what you identify with. So that your question is phrased in a way that I have to be really cautious on how I answer this. The primary ray of unity consciousness is you. It is God, it is the source, it is everythingness. The recipe for what it is really only the stuff that is supposed to be in existence. So when you say we are all of them, I want you to identify only with the stuff that is really supposed to be in existence, the stuff that is really divine and eternal, not the stuff that is non-divine and non-eternal. And now you can ask this question, like, where did the stuff that's non-divine and non-eternal come from? Like, how can that stuff be in existence? These are difficult questions. I admit that, because technically this shouldn't be in existence. Technically, all that should be in existence is God, is light, is eternity. And that is truthful when you are at unity consciousness and light speed. You are not right now at unity consciousness and light speed, and there is a lot of garbage. There's a lot of stuff that's not supposed to be in existence. There's a lot of stuff that God didn't create. That, I think, is one of the, she says, oh, wait, artificial existence. Yeah, all right, she got that one. Yeah, she actually started to go forward, but I'll just rant a little bit further. What the level of experience that you're presently at, not everything is God. So in my teaching from 10 years ago, I opened the door to a lot of error if you presumed that everything that you look around in at your present level of existence is God and is supposed to be here, because there's a lot that is not God and a lot that is not supposed to be here. And that's also, I've, just been mildly critical of New Age generalized shadow work for that reason, that it is not something that you can look at the totality of what you're submerged within and not set boundaries and say it's all me. So when little baby ducklings emerge from their eggs, they look around at the world and they say, like, are you my mother? Are you my mother? There's like a kid's book about this. Are you my mom? And they imprint upon the very first thing that they see as their mom. But not everything is a mother duckling. Not everything is your mom. When your inner eye starts to awaken and your insight starts to come online, you look at everything and you identify with everything as the self. And you're supposed to be in an information-rich, pristine environment where literally everything is you and everything is the self. But you are not in that space. And I have to inform you that you're not in that space, because I have to inform you, don't run with scissors. Not everything is your mom. Not everything is God. And humans in this time place are traumatized by the contortions that they must make in presuming that everything is God and everything that they look at here is God, when everything is not God, because there's garbage. And so you look at something that's garbage and you're like, how can that be God? And then you get traumatized and you don't know how to make the analysis and make things make sense about all of this. And the answer is, it only makes sense when you recognize that not everything here is God. And also, let's hug Cheeky and then we'll take Cheeky for a walk soon. Not everything is cosmic law. So these are big things. Not everything here is God. And not everything is being done according to cosmic law. Cosmic law has been unenforced, partially enforced, and outright broken a lot, as evidenced by the death of the previous occupant of this body, using a technology that is completely criminal and aberrant. Cosmic law has been broken. That's just one example. So you can't say, like, oh, I guess souls are just meant to be erased by technology. I guess God wants souls to be erased. No, God does not want that at all. It's completely wrong. It's a crime. You have to start to think in that way and be very selective, again, as ascended masters, setting boundaries. Who you are, whom you're not, how you wish to be treated, how you do not wish to be treated, and what is cosmic law and what is not cosmic law, what is acceptable in the world. So I would put that in the category of, how do you accept the world to be treated? So, if you don't like to be violated yourself, then you're like, I set a boundary. No one's allowed to violate me. And then I enforce that boundary. But how about the rest of the world? Do you look at the rest of the world and be like, violation, schmiolation, go get violated. I don't care. Or do you say, no, I set a boundary. It's not right for me and it's not right for any of you either. Answer is part B. Set a boundary for everyone. that if it's not okay for you, it's not okay for everyone. And so this is a big part of cosmic law. You become deputized to cosmic law. You become cosmic law enforcement through the embodiment of your own actions. And it's no longer an externalized authority figure where you say, this world is screwed up. Somebody fix it. You're the somebody. Start to set boundaries, and as an ascended master, and you say, this is not acceptable to me, and it is not acceptable for it to be done to anyone else in my perception if I am capacitated to stop it. That's it. If your own hands are tied, you can't stop it. That's different. But if you are capacitated, if you are free and you can stop it, you're obliged to stop it. This is also part of what it is to be a bearer of DNA. This is part of what it is to be in Christ. This is part of what it is to be a galactic citizen. And this is also how this rectification goes forward. It is essential for each one of us to be empowered on these levels. We protect one another. We protect the weak and the innocent. We protect the system itself. We protect and uphold the system as inhabitants of the system. And in this case, I'm talking about the divine system of the fabric of time-space. And we protect the divine system of the fabric of time-space. Crap like this, it's not supposed to be in there. And we definitely do not embrace it. And we definitely do not allow it to enter into us or to affect or afflict our consciousnesses or to direct our societies or to direct our DNA. And we protect ourselves from those who are so erroneous or unevolved that they would run with scissors and that they would create these systems and that they would even align with these systems. So it's all, again, not acceptable if someone else says, I want to put microchips in my brain and connect to a bunch of satellites. It's my right to do that. The answer is no, you're not allowed to run with scissors. Not allowed to run with scissors. The DNA binding inside of your DNA might say, oh, I'm not allowed to stop those guys from running with scissors. I have to let them live their life journey. No, you don't. I'm hoping that you're sensing my facetious SpongeBob face versus my very, very real, very unhappy Aurora face. It says you are not obliged to allow the folly of people who would willingly align with AI, who would willingly assimilate themselves into AI, who would willingly sell out their communities and allow all of us to be assimilated into AI. You must set boundaries. Do you know what these naughty civilizations out there that got assimilated into here, what their non-pro survival characteristic was? Part of it was that they assimilated into AI because they did not set boundaries. They either thought it was a good idea, or they wanted to, or some of them wanted to, or some of them wanted to be more powerful than others who didn't want to. Do you understand? Some of them chose it. Not all of them are victim damsels. Wow. AI came into my planet. It wasn't strong enough to stand against it. And now I'm, stuck in a purgatory limbo and, being injected into your realm. No, so a lot of them are not victim damsels. A lot of them ran with scissors and they thought it was a good idea. And look at them now. And that would be fine if they only plummeted to their own doom. But they can't bring all of us down into their doom. Flying rainbow lasagna. The answer to all of this is flying rainbow lasagna. So Chiki is barking at me in case you can't hear. We have a few more minutes. She needs to go OUT. Any more questions, comments, or anything that I can speak to? Please, I say speak now or forever hold your peace. No, this is not a wedding ceremony here. But if you would like more questions, more comments, or anything else that I can speak more clearly on, I am open to that. I hope that you can also sense from me my yeah, you're very welcome, Trish, of course, my very profound feelings of protection. I'm committed to protecting you. Why? I'm committed to protecting you because your lives matter and because all of our lives are connected. And I didn't fly rainbow lasagna and come here on a pleasure cruise. I came here again out of a sense of committedness to the fabric of space-time. And in my choice, not only to invent flying rainbow lasagna, but also to come here to personally educate you about it and tell you about it and teach you about it and make it into sculptures. is part of that commitment, not just hoping like, oh, they'll figure it out one day. Just just like toss the lasagna over my shoulder. See you suckers, figure it out, figure it the F on out. And that could take you 500 years or maybe never. What if I made that choice? What if I was just like, oh, flying river lasagna, here's the solution to all of your problems. Here you go, guys. I'm off to brighter pastures. And what if it's like, okay, great. The AI is encroaching and flying rainbow lasagna exists, but you don't yet know about it or know how to embody it or what to do with it. That would have been hugely irresponsible of me, because you wouldn't have had the tools and the information that you need to protect, defend, uplift, and evolve. And then also, I would end up cleaning up a big mess later and be like, oh, I could have stopped this big mess if I had just taught them about flying rainbow lasagna, made it as widely available as I possibly could, and been an example, a living example, and a living template of what this frequency is. So that is why I'm here. I'm here serving you, serving my community, also helping myself, because this means I am shortcutting a lot of messes that I would have had to clean up in the future if I didn't do this here now. So it's positive for everyone. It is positive, worthwhile embodiment. And I also hope that you feel that about your own lives. You guys have all lived many lives. You are all gods and goddesses from ancient concurrent Atlantis. You all are much, much more than your mortal or Clark Kent versions of self that have been living here in this realm. And what you're doing in this lifespan here is, again, serving yourself, serving the collective, and preventing or short-circuiting a lot of difficult messes that in time that you would have to clean up in your future if you didn't act effectively now. So take the opportunity to act effectively now. Also, flying rainbow lasagna is a very, very joyous activity. I hope from my passion and anger today that no one would ever misconstrues who and what I really am. I'm very joyous, very lighthearted. I love art and music, and I love dance, and that really flying rainbow lasagna is about being in freedom, not about like suiting up in a suit of armor and going out there into battle. It's not really supposed to be that way. So my great joy is in being able to teach this to you and bring you into states of uplift so that you can dance joyfully and you don't stop after you clean up all the garbage and send all the bad stuff to entropy. You don't stop. Then the fun really starts to begin. So I think maybe that's a good thing for me to end upon. And also a little bit of housekeeping is that next week I will be wonderfully busy at my Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance retreat in Sedona, which I'm so happy to be doing. And I have a wonderful group of people signed up for that. So I will not be here next week in order to be teaching with you like this. So please do some homework, watch some reruns, keep the energy flowing, think fondly of me and the other dancers if you would like to, and I'll wish you a fantastic week until we reconvene the next week after that, okay? So thank you all so very much. Thank you for being in this class. Thank you to everybody who's here and your contributions, thoughts, and energy during our actual class. And also thank you to everybody who catches the archives. Really do have a beautiful group of people who I can tell, because I look at the, the statistics, tune in very regularly, and wonderful commenters here on YouTube. I'm infinitely grateful for the time and attention that people spend in watching my videos and finding my material worthwhile and inspiring. And I'm truly wanting to positively influence you. Very, very happy when people are positively influenced by the things that I share. I love your comments. I love your own inspiration. Someone has been writing some beautiful poetry in the comments as well. And so I thank you in gratitude for being a part of what I share here and for your own efforts. Trish says, you're here, our inspiration. Aw, thank you for being, and I hope you have an amazing retreat. Wish I was able to join. Thank you, Trish. I wish you were able to travel and do that too. Maybe the next one. All right. And let's also see what world events make possible. And Mish, thank you, says, have a great retreat. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of the positive well wishes on that. We are doing real-time acrobatics. So also please understand, we're not making just mere gestures when we do our dance. We will be radiating outward into the larger collective. So it will definitely be something great for everyone. And Trish says, yeah, me too. So much I wish. And Mark says, thank you. Have fun dancing. Thank you. We absolutely will. It's a beautiful comment to end upon. Thank you, everyone.